to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast, the highlight of Friday nights. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. I am your host, Sports PSP. One of our members of the panel, BRF Sports, will be a little bit late. He's got to take care of some family stuff, but rightfully it's perfectly explained, perfectly understandable. We'll have BRF on the show momentarily. But of course, we can't do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man, all the way down from Columbus, Georgia. He's the 5-time college degree champion. He's the Al Roker of journalism, the young Charles Barkley, the military man and veteran, the young Mark Henry. Like most of us this weekend, even though he was snowed in due to the snowstorm, he kind of enjoyed his weekend watching some good football. And kind of like that pastor with that he is he is I had to throw that in there because of D. Shout out to the great D. He is funny, he is hysterical, he is entertaining, and he was also on the news. Please go follow him on the Undisputed World Champ on TikTok, and also his podcast with BRF Sports and Flash. The one, the big fella, Undisputed World Champ. How you doing, big fella?
Oh man, I can't even talk. Yeah. D, love you, girl. But
due to inclement weather, church will be canceled. And I'm like, get your ass out.
But that was entertaining. But that was
Oh yeah, we know you wanted to skip church that day.
Hey man, look, never mind. I ain't trying to get myself in trouble with God. Oh man, look, nothing like the highlight of Friday nights to get the weekend started. We got the Royal Rumble tomorrow. We got Super Bowl coming up in a week or so. Just a good time to be alive, man, especially considering the circumstances. And Minnesota, we still love you. We love you. And I will leave it at that. We love you, Minnesota. And stay strong, be proud, stay prayed up. That's all I will say, but we love you, Minnesota.
And it's been a tough week after what happened. What happened with Alex Brady, God rest his soul. And then, of course, obviously, you heard the news regarding the reporters, particularly one Don Lemon. Now he's just been released out of jail. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate with what's going on in this world, man. But hearts and prayers just goes out to Minnesota. But it comes a point where we're just getting tired of saying hearts and prayers. At some point, there has to be accountability. There's some point there has to be action. Only time will tell. But hey, man, regardless of all the issues that's going on in this world, we ain't gonna stop doing what we do best, and that's podcasting, that's content creation, giving us a great time, man. Big fella, we got a lot to talk about. Of course, we got to talk about the AFC Championship recap, the NFC Championship recap, but I got to talk about the name of the title. Explain this to me. Explain how Bill Belichick, say whatever you want about Spygate, Deflategate. He is a 6-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach and a 2-time Super Bowl champion as a defensive coordinator. He has the second most wins, I think only behind Don Shula.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the accomplishments, everything you want in a head coach. But despite all of that, he was not selected into the first ballot Hall of Fame. I think you need to get at least 40. It says it right here. ESPN. I'm reading an article from Veronica Haynes out of WW. ESPN said it learned from multiple sources that Belichick fell short out of the 40 of the 50 votes for from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshrinees of the hall itself in light of its published reports regarding voting results for the class of 2026. It's that very passion that propels the game. The hall also respects the members of the selection committee when they follow the selection process bylaws. It is an honor to serve as a selector. Each year, the hall reviews the selection process and the composition of the 50-person selection committee. If it is determined that any members violated the selection process bylaws, they understand action will be taken. That could include the possibility that such selectors would not remain a member of the committee moving forward. The selection of a new class is the most important duty the Hall of Fame oversees each year, and the integrity of that process cannot be in question. And when you look at it, champ, Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, they're the only coaches they've made it on the first ballot. But when you look at other head coaches, look, Vince Lombardi didn't even make it on the first ballot. Paul Brown, Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson didn't even make it on the first ballot. And even though there have been examples before, champ, but to me, it's a no-brainer about Bill Belichick. Regardless of what you want to say about Spygate, Deflategate, can you tell the story of football without Bill Belichick? Whether in the past or in the modern era. When you look at it, Tom Brady said it himself. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. This is what he said during a radio interview. He's incredible. There's no coach I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough. Robert Kraft, who should be, I don't know if he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but definitely should. I mean, Jerry Jones is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, rightfully so. But Robert Kraft does have more Super Bowls and more success. He's not in. And this is a statement from Robert Kraft. He called Belichick the greatest coach of all time. As head coach of the New England Patriots for more than 2 decades, he set the standard for on the field excellence, preparation, and sustained success in the free agency and salary cap era of the National Football League. He is the greatest coach of all time, and he unequivocally deserves to be a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. You look at his record 333 wins to 178 losses. That's also including the playoffs. Bill Polian got a lot of explaining to do. Now, he's denied it, but it's hard to believe. I think it's a culmination of things, champ, as to why Bill Belichick was kept out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Spygate, Deflategate. They always bring up Spygate, Deflategate. Okay, fine. That is a stain on Bill Belichick's legacy. But still, that doesn't define it. That doesn't disregard all of his accomplishments. It's there. There's no question about that. But that doesn't define. Could it be Bill Polian? Dare I say, because you were executive for the Indianapolis Colts, who did a damn good job surrounding Peyton Manning with a team, from Edgerrin James to Dwight Clark, Robert Mathis, Tony Dungy as a head coach. You surrounded Peyton Manning and that franchise with a lot of talent. But in the 2000s, the early 2000s, the Patriots were the team. They were the dynasty. So I think jealousy and envy, and I'm sorry, dare I say, media, and anyone who tells me that the media did not play a role, that's so disingenuous to me and an insult to my intelligence. Bill Polian used to work for ESPN. He knows those voters very well. He probably convinced them into talking them out of voting Belichick into the first ballot. And they use Belichick, they use all the coaches. Same thing with Terrell Owens, Chip. Terrell Owens, when you look at his work, 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All Pro. He's one of 3 men to be a first team All Pro on 3 different teams. Ted Hendricks, Deion Sanders. But he's not in the Hall of Fame on the first try as a first ballot. And I'm sorry, I have to bring it up. Randy Moss. And again, Randy Moss belongs on the Hall of Fame on the first ballot on the first try. But that wasn't because of Randy Moss's production. It had to do with the fact that he's with ESPN and the media. So because of that, and we talk about TO's on the field issues, let's not forget Randy's. He said it himself, I play when I want to. And unlike TO, he had off the field issues. When he bumped his car into a police officer's car, T.O. had no issues off the field. Shannon Sharp, and he's been adamant, not just on Undisputed, also on Nightcap, any other show he's on. They changed the bylaws when it came to T.O. So media definitely played away because Belichick didn't do the greatest job when it came to press conferences and interviews with the media. My thing is, if you kept Belichick out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first try because of Spygate or because of other issues with Belichick, and yes, speaking of Brady, because I do think another reason that played a factor, Belichick or Brady, who deserves most of the success? Brady was able to go elsewhere in Tampa, win a Super Bowl, help Tampa become relevant, help Tampa win their first Super Bowl since that 2002 season. Belichick outside that 2021 season in which Mac Jones as a rookie helped them get to the playoffs. What can you say about Belichick after that? I mean, come on. Bill Belichick, yes, sabotaged Mac Jones, sabotaged the New England Patriots by putting in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as offensive coordinators. And you see how Mac Jones flourished in San Francisco because of how great of a coach Kyle Shanahan is. And hopefully for you, Chip, he goes to Atlanta because y'all gonna have to do it without Michael Penix Jr. And I think, but to me, if you kept Belichick out of the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, are you going to do the same with Tom Brady? Because Brady has the Flakegate. Personally, I don't think so. Because who's better between Brady or Belichick? That answer is Brady. Brady's considered the GOAT, just like Belichick is considered the GOAT of coaching or one of the greatest to ever do it. Brady does have a connection with media. After all, he works for Fox Sports. Brady's more likable than Belichick. But he is involved with the Flakegate. So to me, it's a joke. It's a joke that Bill Belichick was out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Yes, Champ, you can mention other head coaches, just like I mentioned, that were not in the first ballot, like John Madden, Vince Lombardi, Bill Parcells, and others. But this is a no-brainer. And for Bill Polian and for others to say, well, media didn't play a role, or it's ridiculous. I would like to think I would know a Hall of Famer based on their impact, what you see, their production results. But it seems like to me it's not about production. It's all about popularity. It's all about who we like and dislike. Not everyone that you meet, you gonna hang out with and go to the bar and have a drink. People, I mean, we gonna agree or disagree. But at the end of the day, it should be about merit. It should be about production. I thought it was about meritocracy.
Mm.
I got more to say, big fella. The floor is yours.
We had to go in Ash Ketchum mode. You remember Pokemon Ash Ketchum? Remember how he used to,
Yes.
right before a battle, just turn his hat to the back right before that? We're going to do it that right there, then lean it up on top of this big old forehead I got. But on that note, man, the Hall of Fame, we're going to change it to the HOL, Hall of Lame. Or we could even go a step further. As far as the writers go, the home for infinite losers. Shout out to Dragon Ball Z, by the way. Look, if the second winningest coach of all time don't deserve to be in there, then nobody deserves to be in there on the first ballot. This guy's the second. Take away the Super Bowls. He has the second most wins behind Don Shula. Not only that, people don't realize he not only played a role in New England, in New York, he's been in football since the 70s with the Madison Avenue, with the Baltimore Colts, my bad. He was involved with the Baltimore Colts, the Miracle on 38th Street team that was coached by Ted Marshall Broden with Burt Jones. He was one of the assistants on that team. Wrote the greatest game plan in Super Bowl history against the Buffalo Bills. Remember, the Buffalo Bills had the K-gun offense, no huddle offense the entire game. And he wrote that defense, that game plan to keep the passing game in check. We're only going to rush 2. So, Jim Kelly, you're going to have all the time in the world. But the saddest thing about that is you got to throw it in these tight windows. Yeah, the greatest game plan in the history of the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, one of the main things about the Hall of Fame is this: can you write the history of football without someone? And I'm sorry, at this point, let's just say it. Bill Belichick is getting the Barry Bonds treatment. I got to kiss the ass of these writers in order for me to get in when I have the credentials, when I have the wins, when you cannot write the history of the sport without me. And outside of that, I have something that Barry Bonds, although he's the greatest of all time as far as baseball is concerned, I have them chips. I beat some of the greatest teams of all time. The greatest show on turf falls. The Panthers fall. The Philadelphia Eagles of 2004 with T.O. fall. The Legion of Boom falls. I helped break dynasties. What would have been dynasties fell beneath my feet. The Legion of Boom, greatest show on turf. Not even one of the greatest offenses of all time, but one of the greatest receivers in the 2010s that held out of the Georgia Dome could stop me. Not even a 28-3 lead could stop me. Not even that could stop me. So when you talk about the history of football, you can't talk about it without Bill Belichick. And by the way, people love to give Tom Brady all that grace and all the credit when it comes to the 28-3 game. But remember this: in the fourth quarter, Bill Belichick's defense did not allow a point. Yeah. So give that defense and his game planning a hell of a lot of credit. Let's just be real. Plus, you won in the free agency era versus Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, even Joe Gibbs. They had players coming back to the table every single year. They didn't have to worry about salary cap. They didn't have to worry about making the tough decisions. He had to make the tough decisions. He had to release guys like Willie McGinnis. He had to let guys go like Richard Seymour, who is a Hall of Famer, by the way. So he had to make those tough decisions. Had to make the tough decisions in order to let Randy Moss go. Where's he at? In the Hall of Fame. Was about to make the decision in order to let Tom Brady himself go, which a team by the name of the San Francisco 49ers had to do with Joe Montana in order to let Steve Young. Fortunately for Brady, the owner intervened and said, blank, blank, no, you're not trading my guy. Trade this guy. And look, I already know people are going to say, well, the Brady effect, the Brady effect, the Brady effect. Listen, Brady is not Brady without me. Let's just be real. Nobody discovered Brady. Guess what? Victory has a lot of fathers. Defeat is an orphan. Without me, you don't discover Brady. Brady got drafted in the later rounds. He wasn't even the best quarterback at his school. Drew Henson was. So I discovered Tom Brady in his second year. Although I had just played my quarterback $100 million, I was this close in order to starting him over my $100 million quarterback. But I changed my mind at the last minute. Luckily, God intervened, and now I got my guy in there anyway. So this whole thing about this and that and the third, it's just like, do we really talk about that with Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan? No. Jordan didn't win before Phil Jackson. We don't have this discussion like, well, who made who. No. They both collectively played their role. And in fairness to Bill Belichick, by the time he got to the end of Brady's career, a lot of guys who was a part of those teams, those dynasty teams, they had moved on to greener pastures. Charlie Weiss, Romeo Crennel, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels. Funny thing about Josh McDaniels, when he had Josh McDaniels there as the offensive coordinator, well, guess what? Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler
As a rookie.
as a rookie. Went to playoffs, I believe.
Yes.
So I can coach. I know people are going to say, well, your staff didn't do as well. Okay. Every staff member is not a Bill Belichick. Everybody can't have the Bill Walsh type of staff where they're able to move on and do things on their own, man.
Which that's ridiculous because again, James Harrison, he talked about Mike Tomlin not being a Hall of Famer. And I'm
Exactly.
like, look, Mike Tomlin didn't have a great coaching tree, but at the end of the day, what about his results?
Again, everybody is not going to be a great. It's kind of like, let's just be real. It's kind of like me trying to be sports PSP. I can't freaking do that. I'm just, it's not going to happen. No,
Well,
I'm just giving an example. I
I
can't
know.
be sports PSP. I'm part of the sports PSP coaching tree. PSP coaching tree. Then there's me, BRF, Flash, a lot of other guys. We can't be PSP. There's only one. A lot of guys were not Bill Walsh. A lot of guys were not Paul Brown. And a lot of guys got away with a lot of stuff. Let's just be real. If you really want me to be honest with you, Bill Belichick's being the head guy hid a lot of these guys' flaws. So let's just be very, very honest. It's easy to be great when you got the top guy shielding you. It's easy. Everybody can talk about how much of a genius child you are, how much of a good personality you are, how you can lead men, because the big man taking all the heat for you. Now you out there on your own. Now you get caught up in a cheating scandal and you get really exposed. Remember this, Josh McDaniel had a cheating scandal, a
In
mini
Denver. He
Spygate of
did.
his own. I remember DJ
Yeah.
Williams was talking about it. He said, man, we went like 6-0 the first 6 weeks, man. And he said after that damn 6 weeks went by, we went 2-8. And we went, and the very next year it repeated itself. So that just goes to show you even further more evidence that guess what? There's the difference between cheating and there's the difference between adapting. Josh McDaniels didn't win anything after his mini Spygate. He didn't win anything. The only thing he won was the ride to the stadium. After Spygate, Bill Belichick won 3 more Super Bowls, went to NFC Championship, went to 2 more Super Bowls. Well, went to several more Super Bowls, I would say. So it's a lot of media bias. And I'm like I said, I believe that he is getting the Barry Bonds treatment because guess what? He didn't kiss the media's behind. Outside off the field, you might have some stuff that you really don't agree with. And right now, he isn't the most successful at his next job at this moment in time. But not every coach has that real second act in their coaching life. Not every coach is going to have that. Funniest thing about Bill Walsh, as I'm looking it up, right? He left the 49ers
Right.
in 1988 after he won the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
He left there. He had one winning season at Stanford. One winning season at Stanford when he went back to Stanford. He went 10-3 in 1992 and went to the Blockbuster Bowl and won that. After that, he went 4-7, 3-7-1. That's what happened. So not every coach has that second act in them. We look at the Barry Switzers, we look at the Jimmy Johnsons, we look at guys like that and say, hey, you're supposed to be great everywhere. Not every coach gets that supreme second act. Jerry Glanville, the same way. He helped Houston and my Atlanta Falcons win some games. He went to Portland State University, not so much. Not every coach has that second act in them. That's how come they go back to the familiar. That's how come Bill Walsh, he went back to the 49ers, ended up being their general manager for a long period of time. Ended up helping the San Francisco 49ers draft T.O., draft J.J. Stokes, helped them get Jeff Garcia.
Yep.
So not every coach has that great second act. You can't look, lightning don't strike the same place twice. I was able to get these players and put them in a position in order to win. A lot of hidden gems that you guys didn't even pay attention to. Whoever heard of Malcolm Butler before he became a Pro Bowler and got that game-winning interception? No one. Julian Edelman,
No
Kevin
one.
Paul,
Kevin
Antoine
Faulkner.
Smith, Deion Branch, Givens,
Lord.
David
Yeah.
Patton.
There were a
Now,
lot
it's
of.
yeah, it's
No,
safe to
there
say
were.
that in his first dynasty, he had a lot of big names. Ty Law, Lawyer Malloy, Rodney Harrison, Vince
Yeah, the
Wilfork.
defense,
Yeah,
but
the
the
defensive
offense,
guy.
but the
Right.
offense, he didn't have that early on in his career. It was the defense. But
Yeah.
still, at the end of the day, he delivered what he delivered. But to me, champ, with the media, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. I hope I'm
It's
good.
all good.
My thing is, can, how can you say, well, it's just Spygate? So okay, he had one terrible incident. Should that define him? No. At the end of the day, regardless of what you want to say about the Spygate situation, still, and with Bill Polian, I'm like, the way you responding and these statements lately, it doesn't sound convincing.
We have had so many bad incidents in the NFL. Is the shame. We've had the Bounty Bowl. We've had people like Buddy Ryan, God bless his soul, that put bounties out on players. We had the body bag game. And Jimmy Johnson himself even came out and said that a coach that worked under Bill Polian's team in the Indianapolis Colts gave them the idea of how to steal signals. You're always looking for the competitive edge. You're always looking for that competitive edge. If I know this dude, if I know that somebody does like this when they're about to call Z3 motion, then guess what? It's getting a competitive edge.
Because you
That's
know
the thing.
exactly what they're doing,
I
and once you
mean,
see that, you're telling me you're not gonna capitalize it.
exactly.
But
And the thing is, a lot of coaches share information. They share film about teams. Hey man, let me borrow one of your tapes so that we can, we got Fort High next week. Hey man, let me have that tape that you had against them so we can see what they're doing. We haven't played them yet. There's been a lot of evidence of coaches share. I think it was week 5 when Oregon played Colorado. I never
yes,
forget when the story came out about how everybody was sharing information in regards to Colorado and what they were running. And Keyshawn came out and said, look, there's always sharing of information when it comes to coaching, when it comes to that. You try to figure out what their tendencies are. Yeah. And you mean to tell me you're going to watch film the entire time and you're not going to pay attention to who's on the sideline waving their hands or when they do this? Every time they do this, they do that. And I'm not gonna pay attention to that. And I'm watching
It's,
film.
it's pretty conspicuous. No
It's
one is going to disregard that.
so yeah. So all of this Spygate, and like I stated, a lot of coaches have done it. Even Jimmy Johnson said, "We even tried," and his team is one of the most revered teams in history. Jimmy Johnson admitted it.
He did. I,
So with all of this, oh cheating, bro. Let me break something down to you. The NFL has a long history of cheating. Whether people were using stickum, whether the Oakland Raiders was out here acting like their arms was pads and the willing was cast. Yeah, I'll never forget the Oakland Raiders players. If you go back and look at their pads on their shoulder, they were cast. There was this guy named Bobby Brown, not the singer, but Hall of Famer Bobby Brown. He had a broken thumb for damn near 6 years, and he used to have a cast on his hand. But what he used to do, he used to lay his thumb and hit L.C. Greenwood, who the defensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He used to use that to hit him in the stomach with. And he had a broken thumb for damn near 10 years, his entire playing career. You had coaches use a stickum. And look, even Bill Walsh did it. God rest his soul. Go back and look at Bill Walsh of Football Life. Bill Parcells called him out on it because what they used to do back in San Francisco, right? They used to script plays, right? And what they used to do was Bill Walsh would say, "Hey, my headphones is out." Okay, so when the opposing team's headphones is out, then everybody got to take their headphones out. But they're not able to get the substitutions and communicate like the other team is because they already have their plays scripted. When I already got my plays scripted, you don't know what I'm doing. Guess what? I can run it up on you. And I never forget, he walked up to Bill Walsh one day and said, "Hey, these headphones go out again. I'm gonna have a talk with somebody about this." Now he said, I never forget what Bill Walsh said. He winked his eye and said, he said, "Just a little competitive edge." Teams have been cheating for years. Even Bill Walsh's team, one of the greatest coaches of all time, he did it. But
but again,
all of a sudden, oh, it's Bill's turn because he didn't kiss the media's ass, and he just was a bland personality and just want to coach. And he just said on the Buffalo, all of a sudden, everybody forgets everything. So all of this
that's
evidence
the
of
thing.
cheating throughout NFL history, and all of a sudden we want to key in on the winningest coach in NFL history. I call foul play.
It's really not that hard to connect the dots. And anyone who says that Belichick, the only person so far that has no problem with it is Rob Parker. And I like Rob Parker a lot, but Parker has made the argument for Barry Bonds to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So how can you make look? Well, never mind.
But
That's
that
a
don't make
bad analogy.
sense.
You can't you can't make the argument for one cheater and then try to dog another one. What's the difference? They both fucking cheated. I mean, it's just being real. What's the argument? They both cheated. Do I agree that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame? Yes. Simply off of the premise of you cannot write the story of baseball without him. And quiet as it's kept, the steroid era was the best era in baseball and the most entertaining. That was the steroid era was the most entertaining time in baseball. Tell
So
me I'm
to
lying.
me,
The home
you're
run
not no you
season
no
was just
you're not big Vic, you're not lying, but that's where I don't understand. This has been prevalent back in the day, and you're going to use Spygate, Deflategate. Like I said, it's a culmination of things.
yeah.
If Bill Belichick perhaps did a better job in press conferences and build a rapport with media, perhaps he would have been in on the first ballot. And again, champ, it's about who we like, who we dislike, and if they're involved in the media, they have a good chance of actually getting to the Hall of Fame. Again, I brought up Randy Moss. Randy Moss, unlike Terrell Owens, had off the field issues. And just like T.O., he had on the field issues. I played when I want to. But when someone tells me that the media didn't play a role in this, come on, that's an insult to my face. That's just horse shit. It is what it is. I mean, and what are you gonna say if Belichick's not a Hall of Famer? Tom Brady said Bill Belichick is not first ballot. No one is. Are you gonna say that about Brady? I don't think so.
No.
Because again, unlike Belichick, he has a relationship with the media. Unlike, I mean, one who's better without the other, that's Brady. But again, we have to stop going by who we like, dislike. The media is horrible in this because it seems like we have personal vendettas, athletes or coaches or people that we don't like. Shannon Sharp has often talked about it. He said he was in that Pro Football Hall of Fame room when Brett Favre's name was mentioned. And at no time they mentioned Favre's past. The Vicodin addiction, or when he went to Atlanta champ, you know very well,
Bankhead
Bankhead
Brett.
Brett. Your father didn't you tell me that your father saw him in Atlanta drunk like a Christmas tree?
Yeah, I'll never forget. He was like, "Hey man, everybody, we saw Brett Favre down there getting drunk as a fool down there and one of the boys at Bankhead." I said, "What is he doing at Bankhead?" That's what they call it. They call it Bankhead Brett. The hell, like, what is he doing? No, because even the internet wasn't what it is today, but word of mouth gets out about everything. It's like, what's he
Right.
doing at Bankhead? It's just like,
But
and
because of Favre's reputation and because of how he was well loved by the media, he got a pass.
yeah,
Despite the
he's still getting
Vicodin
passed.
addiction.
He's still getting
Despite the
passed.
Vicodin addiction. Despite the situation with the girl in New York.
He's still
Despite
getting passes. He's still getting passes. And look, cheating
and
is
again
done
for
throughout.
and for those who I want to make it abundantly clear, it's not about the R word. I want to make it clear, it's not about the R word. It's just the fact that the media treats certain people differently, and it's about who we like or we dislike.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you tell the story of football without them. Can you tell the story? Can you tell the story about wide receivers without Terrell Owens?
no, you can't. And to your point, it's not about the R. It's not about playing the R card either. The thing is, to our point about baseball, Big Poppy. You remember he tested positive for steroids. I remember he tested positive for steroids. They had a big old press conference about it. But because he's in the media, oh, he's in the Hall of Fame. Bear Bonds isn't. It was a known fact that he tested positive for steroids. Big Poppy's tested positive for steroids. They had a big old press conference about it because he was trying to figure out what he tested positive for. Yeah. That just goes to show you, to your point, about media bias. Big Poppy's in the media now. He's been in the media for years. Do you think that happens if he's not in the media? Because when it was a known fact that he tested positive for steroids? No, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that happens. But because he's in the media now and he's part of the media, he's rubbing elbows with the media, he has a rapport with the media, of course you're going to get that pass. Versus Barry Bonds, he kind of snuffed his nose at the media. Another guy who snuffed his nose at the media, who it cost him the Hall of Fame for years and years to come, Charles Haley, had 5 Super Bowl rings long before Brady won his 5. Couldn't
Yeah,
write the history of football. Couldn't write the history of football without him. Was part of the San Francisco 49ers dynasty and a
the
critical
Dallas
part of the Dallas
Cowboys.
Cowboys. They kept him out of the Hall of Fame for years because he didn't kiss the media's butt. Yeah. And if you need a prime example of what media buyers can do for it, look no further than Big Poppy. They talk about, oh, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, those guys tested positive for steroids. So did Big Poppy. He's still in the freaking Hall of Fame, is he not? Did he not have a
But
big old
because
press conference about it? Yes, he did.
but because of his involvement with the media, somehow, some way, that was overshadowed.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. That's unfortunately the game. But it just tells you, champ, that I've already lost respect for for the Hall of Fame voters because it should not be about nepotism. It should not be about who we like or dislike. It should be about merit. And if you're going to go by that logic, then people from the Hall of Fame, they should be excluded or kept out. And I think moving forward, it needs to be a balance. There got to be some in the media who should vote. There has to be some football players who should vote because it seems to me it's just a vendetta that the media has when it comes to certain players, certain coaches. And but it's wrong. I mean, just listening to Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, Gronk spoke in about it. I think he was on Jimmy Kimmel or the Jimmy Fallon show. I think Willie McGinnis had a lot to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Also,
ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But it has to be nothing but media, and it's really hard. It's inexcusable. Even though, champ, we detailed that there have been other head coaches like John Madden, Bill Parcells, Vince Lombardi. They haven't been first ballots. Still, that was wrong as well. Either.
yeah. And you know it was especially wrong for Vince Lombardi. The Dan Blaine Trophy is named after me. The Vince Lombardi Trophy, and I didn't make the first ballot. That's an injustice within itself.
You know that John Madden didn't even make the Pro Football Hall of Fame until 2006, right?
Yeah. But the thing is with John Madden is
Even
this.
though he has the highest winning percentage as a head coach.
Yes, but in the 70s, I would say this. You had Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant, and there was another guy as well. I forget his name, but those were the big three back in those days.
Fair
It was
enough.
it was those were the big three. So that's why he had to wait for so long. You have to ask yourself this: if we were not seeing him in the media and in the and with the games and stuff like that, although he had the highest winning percentage, was he really one of the top five coaches of all time when it came to those? To did he really was he really up to par with those guys? Because he lost a lot of big games. He
Fair,
lost a
fair,
lot of big games. So,
fair
like I
enough.
said, Chuck Noll, Don Shula, Bud Grant. Those were
Okay,
the
but
big three back then. But the thing is, with all of his contributions to the game, without those, would we be talking about him as a top coach of all time? Probably not.
probably not. But at the same time, champ, it's obvious a no-brainer. Belichick first ballot.
Yeah, obviously Bill Belichick first ballot. But to your point about Madden, and like I said, I love John Madden. I still have his shirts in my closet. I still play Madden from time to time. But you have to ask yourself this: the reason why you have to admit this, the reason why it took him so
No,
long,
I'm not.
because
I'm
of
not.
that. No, I'm
I'm
just educating the audience, not necessarily you.
oh, okay.
But when it comes to that, you think about the coaches in the 70s, you think about, I got it, Tom Landry, you think about Don Shula, you think about Chuck Noll,
Hmm.
and you think about Bud Grant. You think about those guys first. Then you think about John Madden. You don't
Look,
necessarily think about him. You don't necessarily put yourself back in the 70s and say, hey, what the hell's John Madden? The first person you're really looking for is his, conference rival. That's Don Shula or, Chuck Noll. Those are the guys who was winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. They was beating him in those name games and things of that nature. So yeah, without that, without him being in the media for so long, without him being one of the trailblazers for Fox, without him being in conversations in the media and with the video game, you got to ask yourself, was he that top coach in his era, much less of all time?
probably
Probably not.
no, no. But at the same time, he was. I think to your point, champ, it was overlooked because how Madden was able to succeed as a commentator, and then of course with the game, he became a bigger celebrity even after his coaching
Mhm.
career. But you look at other coaches, Jimmy Johnson, not a first ballot. Like I've said before, champ, I've said it again. The worst thing that ever happened with the Dallas Cowboys was firing Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Still, Jerry Jones, forget the fact he hasn't won a Super Bowl, neither has been to one nor a conference championship game. Bill
Yeah.
Walsh, one of the brilliant offensive minds, he's not a first ballot. So
George
what?
Seifert, his
So
follow-up
what's the
guy.
criteria to be a first ballot? I not only have to have great results, but I gotta literally kiss your ass. That's what it seems like to me.
I have to be a media darling because remember George Seifert is not in the Hall of Fame either.
Right. I mentioned
And
that.
yeah,
Just
George Seifert. Yeah, to your point, George Seifert's not in the Hall of Fame. Hell, it took Tom Flores. It took him years to get into the Hall of Fame.
okay, but let me ask you this, champ. If we're gonna be consistent about character, about people's on and off the field issues, if we're gonna keep it consistent, should Ben Roethlisberger be in the Hall of Fame? Now, as a football player, yes, because he's won with two different head coaches, as you often mention on my show, Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin.
Mhm.
But we can't ignore Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and one in particular in your state, Milledgeville.
Smithville. I mean, no. If you're gonna hold To to that standard, and he never got in trouble, then guess what? Ben Roethlisberger needs to wait 4, 5, 6 years. Let's just be real. But a lot of these things get looked over because of media bias. It gets looked over because of media bias. And that's a sad thing to say, but it
It
does.
is
Like I
what it
said,
is.
I use Big Poppy as a prime example. People always talk about with Barry Bonds and those guys, they cheated. Okay, I give you that. But so did Big Poppy. He tested positive for steroids and had a big ass press conference about it. Somebody's going to tell. So tell me why he's in the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and those guys who helped rewrite the history, rewrite the wrong of baseball. Because remember, after the strike, nobody was going to games. The Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire home run race, that saved baseball. That saved it and rewrote the record book. And then Barry Bonds came into that picture and took it back into the stratosphere. They call it the steroid era. I call it the home run era because they was knocking them out of the park.
It really doesn't make any sense, champ. It just tells me I know I don't want to be redundant. Again, media bias and unfair objectivity. And when Bill Polian, jealousy and salty, it really has to be. I mean, and it's an insult, champ, to all of us as football fans. Myself, you, Kieran. I mean, we saw Kieran's video that he posted. It's just an insult to us who know football, who watch football, who study football. And you're going to tell us he's not a famer because he doesn't fit your particular criteria. As Don King put it, only in America. Only in America.
Only in America.
Big fella, but speaking of the New England Patriots on a positive note, they are now officially back to the Super Bowl. Their first time since the 2018 season. Myself, BRF, and you, we all picked New England. I got to be honest with you, champ, before we talked about New England, hey, people who've criticized Bo Nix, had Bo Nix actually had played in that game, champ, we would have had a different outlook. Am I lying?
No, you wasn't. And look, but at the end of the day,
No, I'm not. No, just to be
yeah,
clear, I'm
yeah,
not diminishing or taking anything away from New England. But all those who thought that Bo Nix is the weakest link on the team and Jared Stidham, I thought he did under the circumstances, he did the best he could.
yeah, he
I
couldn't see.
certainly, I certainly did not agree with Sean Payton going for it on 4th and 1.
No.
If it were Bo Nix, okay, fine. If you knew there was going to be snow, which ultimately that's what happened in the game, and considering the big ass snowstorm we had this past weekend, why not go for the field goal? Get your easy points. Your defense played outstanding.
Yeah, held
They
him to
did not
7
play
points.
well throwing the football. I mean, other than the flea flicker, he had the long run. You couldn't ask more from Denver's defense. You really they I mean, you only held them to just 10 points. Jared Stidham, he had some good throws, the beautiful deep ball he threw to Marvin Mims, then the fumble in which 2 plays later the Patriots scored on the touchdown. Mike Vrabel has done a fantastic job as a head coach. Drake May, I do have the concerns because so far this postseason he hasn't played particularly well, but still in all, New England finds a way to get the job done, champ. But I do feel pretty comfortable had Bo Nix had played in that game. Maybe there would have been a different outlook. And for those who say Bo Nix is the weakest link on the team, okay, it was all defense. Yeah, the defense did its part. But still in all, let's see you do it without Bo Nix.
You didn't. You didn't.
Go ahead, big fella.
Hey man, when you talk about intelligence, when you talk about being smart, not gonna get better than the man to my left, you're right, man. Just being real. Gotta give you that shout out, man, and give you them flowers. But for all of y'all who keep talking about that was the easiest path to the Super Bowl ever, that was the easiest path to the Super Bowl. That was the easiest path to the Super Bowl.
You sound like Flash all of a sudden.
Stop. That's where I stole that from. Shout out to Flash, by the way. That's the easiest path to the Super Bowl. He beat the number 5, the number 1, and the number 2 defense in the league. No other quarterback has ever done that in the history of the NFL. And beat one of them in the snow. Couldn't even see. So that was not an easy path to the Super Bowl. Number 1, as a quarterback, I don't play other quarterbacks. Me and him are not here playing catch, see who can throw it out of bounds first, like in tennis. This is not Venus versus Serena or Serena versus Coco Golf, excuse me. Shout out to that young lady. I'm playing against defense. That is why I will forever say that Joe Montana is my GOAT. Why? Because of the defenses that he played in order to get to the Super Bowl. The Bears, the Dawn Patrol, the Minnesota Vikings, the doomsday defense of the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants with Lawrence Taylor. That's who he had to face in order to get the Super Bowl. Not to mention the Washington Commanders of the 80s. Yes, I said the Commanders, not the other one. So look at the defenses that Joe Montana faced. That's how come I consider him the GOAT. Had Josh Allen did this stuff, we would be singing his praises up and down. But because it's Drake May and here his second year,
Just for the record, champ, I hope I don't sound like I was disrespectful.
No, not you, but you hear it in the media. You know, my man to my left, your right is not saying this. I'm saying what the media is saying. What the
who said it? Stephen A. Colin Cowherd?
No, Cam Newton said it was the easiest path to the Super Bowl. Swag,
yeah, I mean,
a lot of the other guys said it was the easiest path. As a quarterback, you don't play other quarterbacks. You're not playing catch and serving it like it's a tennis match. You are playing against these defenses. And let's be quite frankly, the reason why he wasn't playing well because they was knocking the hell out of him. He got sacked 6 times in one game and still won against Houston. Threw 3 touchdowns in that game. So for everybody who's going to try to discredit that, please stop. You're not making sense. Because if any other quarterback would have beat 3 of the top 5 defenses and on their way to the Super Bowl to face another top defense, we will be singing their praises the entire time. On the note where my main man, the New Jersey Genius, is speaking on, yeah, they would have won the game if Bo Nix was in there. He was used to the weather. He's used to the pressure. He's used to everything. I think he would have generated more offense. And I fault Sean Payton on that as well. Because when you have a quarterback that has not started a game since 2020,
yep,
then guess what? You don't put him in situations like that. You don't go for it on 4th down when you have an opportunity to put points on the board. If you make that field goal, Guess what? The score is 10-10. You're going into overtime. Not to mention the way that Sean Payton is handling Bo Nix's injuries, and Bo Nix had to come out and say something to refute the injury. So it's safe to say everybody ain't lying about you, Sean Payton. Because first you had problems with Russell Wilson. Now you having trouble with the guy you drafted. So it's safe to say everybody ain't lying about when it comes to how much of an anal retentive that you really are, for lack of a better term. Because even the guy you drafted is having problems with you. I rest my case. You're a hell of a coach, but you could be a hell of a coach and an anal retentive. So, with that being said, I blame Sean Payton for that game. You should have taken the points, not putting your quarterback in certain situation as a backup that he did not belong in. He did not belong in that situation. He did not belong in that situation. If you know you have a backup quarterback in there, stop trying to be aggressive. That is the perfect time to be conservative. You got to
Yep.
play party ball in a situation like that and take everything that give it. Take what they give us. That's what they say in football. Take what they give us.
Sorry, fellas. Some technical difficulties. Why do you think PSP is gonna get a new microphone? PSP bought a new Shure microphone. Hopefully, I'm gonna save some more money. Buy the big fella a good microphone or two. Some technical difficulties. I apologize. But to your point, champ, about New England, I don't think it was just because of the postseason, champ. People have slept on New England primarily because of the regular season as well, too. They
That,
talk about how easy that schedule is, but at the same time, is it really their fault?
no, and the thing
And to
is, the
eh,
72 Dolphins, they only beat two winning teams their entire year. The greatest show on turf, they only beat six winning teams that entire year during the regular season. You're gonna get easy schedules. You play who's in front of you. Look, I'm gonna just be real. If you need any more evidence with a capital S, evidence, to the point where you have to go out there and actually play the game. Look at what my Atlanta Falcons did all season long. They had big leads against mediocre teams. What happened? They blew them. You still have to play the game, even though you're playing a lackluster team. The game still has to be played. You still have to perform. You can't go out there loafing around. That's why Atlanta went in the playoffs. Yeah. So the game still has to be played. They say any given Sunday for a reason, peeps. They say any given Sunday for a reason. Any given Sunday, you can be beat. We lost to the Jets. If we would have beat the Jets, we'd have made the playoffs.
hell, you even lost to the Panthers, in which Bryce Young looked like Steve Young in that game.
Exactly. You still have to play the game. The game
Mm-hmm.
has to be played. This is not NBA Live or Madden where you can simulate the game and the computer can play it for you. You still have to go out there and beat the team. And who expected this from Drake May? Nobody. Who expected this from Mike Vrabel? Nobody. Everybody thought that Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills were still going to run that division, especially considering the fact that Josh Allen, leading up to this year, was the reigning league MVP.
And furthermore, champ, it's only going to get worse for the rest of the NFL because if the Patriots do win a Super Bowl, they have a ton of cap space. Now, they
Yeah.
may not be the dynasty that they were back in 2000s, the early 2000s, but be on the lookout with this New England team. Champ is also happy as well because he got to see Cardi B excited. Anytime, whenever Champ sees somebody like Cardi B celebrating and enjoying herself, then of course, well, I mean, come on now, you love yourself some Cardi too.
Yeah, I
But
like Cardi, man. It's good to see Cardi and Stephon Diggs, the man who stole my name, by the
but
way. But yeah, but
hey, listen, your father gave you that name. He also gave you the name champion too. So great
mhm.
minds think alike. But it was a really great defensive game. If you look at it on both sides of the football field, champ, Was it the most exciting offensive game? No. But you talk about smash mouth defenses,
Yeah.
whew, that was the type of game. And Sean Payton, you keep talking all that talk. You have Russell Wilson issues. Now you're having Bo Nix issues. So be grateful of what you have, Sean Payton. He did this to himself. I mean, he
Style.
really did because
At certain points, you have to learn when to STFU. You have to learn when to close your mouth. My father used to tell me this all the time. People who talk all the time tell lies. And we see people on the TV every day who talking all the time, they telling lies. I ain't gonna say no names, but you get the idea. But
I'll say the name, the current
no,
president.
no, we ain't gonna say no names. I ain't gonna say no names, but we hear lies all the time.
You ain't gonna say it. I
Yeah.
I will say it. The current president. We all know he lying. And with Sean,
So, yeah,
just Sean Payton did it to himself. And with the coaching championship, you should have understood and been aware of the circumstances. You knew that Bo Nix was out of this game. You're asking Jared Stidham to do more than what he was expected. But Mike Vrabel and Tennessee, they made a mistake by letting him go. Fortunately,
exactly.
hopefully for they have Robert Saleh. We'll see how Robert Saleh does. Shout out to Mike Patton. Does a good job covering the Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
But it was a really smash mouth game. But big fella, I cannot leave your ass off the hook.
What's up?
Let's talk about the NFC Championship game. You had something to say about one Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was going to be seeing
Seeing ghosts.
ghosts.
Yeah, I said he was
But
gonna
come
be
to
seeing
find
ghosts.
out, Sam Darnold was seeing the other team seeing ghosts because he shredded them. He shredded them, champ. Sam Darnold played, outperformed who might be the league MVP in one Matthew Stafford. Sam Darnold, in a game of that magnitude, showed up. He probably heard what the big fella undisputed champ been saying. He probably heard what a lot of people been saying about him, that he been seeing those. You know what? I'ma make everybody eat absolute crow. And that's what he did in the Rams against the Rams. 25 of 36, 346 yards, 3 touchdown passes, a passer rating of 127.8 with a QBR on a scale of 0 to 100, 82.9. Matthew Stafford played exceptional as well, validating his reason why he may win the MVP, either between him or Drake May. Sean Payton, I'm sorry, Sean McVay, I apologize. It was a really good offensive game. I thought Seattle at some point I felt like they almost screwed it because at one point the DB he got called for taunting, and then later the Rams capitalized on a touchdown, and you would have thought that the Rams just had momentum, but Sam Darnold said, "I got this, I got this." And look, Kenneth Walker only 19 carries for 62 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, but Jackson Smith Najibba 10 for a buck 53 and a TD.
Mm.
Some point we're gonna have to have a conversation. Is he the best wide receiver in football? Even though there's Jettis, there's Puka, but we're gonna have to have a conversation whether Jackson Smith Najibba is the best wide receiver in football.
Yeah. And they're not throwing the ball as much as a lot of other teams. They're mainly running the ball at least 65% of the time. That's the funniest thing about JSN. They're running the ball the majority of the time. They're running the ball the majority of the time. All the other teams that we're seeing, they're very, very pass heavy. This was one of the most run heaviest teams in the league that being the Seattle Seahawks. Ironically, each time they made it to the Super Bowl, they were very, very run heavy. Whether it was with Sean Alexander, whether it was with Beast Mode, and not Kenny Walker and the tandem that they have back there. They're a running team, and he's getting this kind of yards. It's kind of Michael Irvin-esque when you think about it. You know, remember Michael Irvin was getting all those yards, getting all them damn touchdowns back in Dallas back in the day, and they running the ball. They ran the ball 70% of the time. So as far as Sam Darnold is concerned, greatest comeback story since Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett. If he wins a Super Bowl, you can even say Steve Young. Remember, Steve Young wasn't always the Steve Young that we knew and loved. Remember, he had that rough start in the USFL. I never forget that game where he threw the ball and it went down his shoulder, down the back of his shoulder, and landed on the ground. And everybody, because remember, he had the richest contract in football history when he was in the USFL, and everybody was saying 40 million down the drain. Everybody was saying that. Then he went to Tampa Bay, got caught up in that light before he got traded to San Francisco, where Vinny Testaverde took his place down there in Tampa Bay. Then he went out there, got some coaching, much like Sam Darnold did. Went on to win a Super Bowl, win a few MVPs, became one of the all-time greats. If he's able to win a Super Bowl, you could put his story right up there with Steve Young and Jim Plunkett. I believe that. I thought he was going to see ghosts because of the pass rush and Jared Verse, Fisk, and those guys, but he was able to come out there and make a liar out of me. He was able to come out there and make a liar out of me as well as a lot of other guys. I thought that my guys from Georgia, that being Coach McVay from Mariners High and Matthew Stafford from UGA, they were the team of destiny this year. It was going to be MVP candidate versus MVP candidate. But the Seahawks had other ideas. And it's so good to see a good comeback story. Everybody, every American, every person in this world loves a good comeback story. Everybody loves when you come out on top, you end up getting humbled and humbled and humbled and humbled. Then you finally get the coaching, you finally get the nurturing, you finally get the things that you need. Then you go back out there and you shine all of that brilliance that you once had. We saw that with Steve Young. We saw that with Jim Plunkett. We even saw it for a brief period for Tommy Maddox when he went to Pittsburgh. Granted, his story did not end in the Super Bowl.
Before it was taken over by Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he went and made the playoffs and had a shootout with the Cleveland Browns. Hell, we even saw that with the first black quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl, Doug Williams. Remember, he went to Tampa. They didn't want to pay him anymore. He ended up going to the USFL. The USFL folded. He ended up sitting on the bench with Joe Gibbs for the Washington Commanders in the 80s, sat behind Jay Strader. And remember, one game, Jay Strader was straight out there just getting mashed by the New York Giants. Joe Gibbs sitting them out there, Dre Strader sitting them back, kind of embarrassed and humbled Doug Williams. Doug Williams gets his chance the very next year. They go to the Super Bowl and they win it. We love those comeback stories, man. Comeback stories are what intrigue your mind because it goes to show you I might be down, but I'm not out. That's what Sam Darnold's story is. Joe, it's Jim Plunkett, it's Doug Williams, it's Steve Young, and a little bit of Tommy Maddox in there, but on a lower level. First round guys who, got pushed to the moon, high expectations, didn't quite live up to them at first, but was able to go get coaching and was able to get themselves and get all the nurturing and the development that they needed and then come out there and shine. That's what Sam Darnold's moment is right now. Not
It
to
is.
mention one of the most talented draft classes as far as quarterbacks of
2018.
2018.
Baker, number one
Baker
overall pick.
Mayfield.
And we talk about Sam Darnold's comeback rejuvenation. Baker's as well. We
Yeah.
talk about Lamar Jackson, a two-time league MVP, could have won 3 MVPs. We
Josh
talk
Allen
about Josh Allen.
won
And
the
just like,
MVP.
and man, and also too with Sam USC, because he what broke the mold that USC quarterbacks who've come into the NFL that haven't panned out well. There's him and Caleb Williams now the exception.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at quarterbacks that have come from that program, haven't really panned out well. Mark Sanchez, after his first 2 years, back-to-back AFC Championship appearances.
Out of there. Matt Lionheart.
Out of
Out of
there.
there. John David Booty.
Out of
Out of
there.
there. I
I
mean,
mean, other than Carson Palmer, who's like longevity, and Caleb and Sam Darnold so far, quarterbacks who've come to the program haven't really panned out. So it is great to see that as well, champ. But Mike Vrabel, just like his first year as the head coach, Mike McDonald, what he has done with this defense, what he's done with this team, it shows you how Baltimore truly misses him. And how Tennessee, they dropped the ball by letting go of Mike Vrabel.
mm-hmm.
Because you look at what Mike Vrabel was able to do in 2019 by helping the Titans get to the AFC Championship game. I think the last time was the 0-2.
Back in 2000. Yeah, I think it was back in 2002 with Steve McNair. It was Steve McNair. Oh no. It was back in 19 it was back in 2000 when they went to the AFC Championship. That was the last time they went to the championship game. I think Mike Vrabel did a hell of a job by managing his team. And mind you, he did all of that in Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, although he made the Pro Bowl, was not a premier quarterback. They were basically riding Derrick Henry till the wheels fall off, and they wanted to make a few big plays downfield, and that was what's going to get them over. Not to mention that defense. So when you really look at the totality of what he was able to do in Tennessee during his time there, it's really a miracle. He didn't have the superstar quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is one of those guys who had a second act in the NFL. Although it was good, it was not great. Although it was good, it was not great. And for him to be able to go to an AFC championship, beat Lamar Jackson on his way to that championship, and end up just making it there is a miracle, especially considering they didn't have the offensive firepower outside of Derrick Henry and at the quarterback position that they needed in order to get them over the hump. Now that you've given him a complete team with a quarterback, with a running back, with a good defense, with a good owner, with a good front office behind them, with a lot of cap space, they've been able to do a lot better things with that team. So in totality, what Mike Vrabel did in Tennessee was really a miracle. Like I stated, it was really Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry. We're gonna throw the ball a few times, and then we're gonna hope for the best with this defense. If you really look at it in its totality, they did the same thing that Bum Phillips did with Earl Campbell and Dan Pastorini. We're going to run this ball down their throat. We're going to play great defense. We're going to make a few plays down the field. And guess what? That's how we're going to win games. That's how he did it in Tennessee. The same way Bum Phillips did, except his bowling ball was Earl Campbell. Mike Vrabel's bowling ball was Derrick Henry. That's how they won. And it's nothing short of a miracle. Now that he has a complete team, it is spectacular what he's doing with them. And to win it with the same team, that he helped build a dynasty with. You can't write a better script than that. That's the you show that script in Hollywood, they ball it up and throw it out of the window. You win with the same team that you helped build a dynasty with. You helped build that dynasty your first time around. 3 Super Bowls. You were one of the cornerstones of that defense, along with Willie McGinnis, along with uh, Richard Seymour, along with Vince Wilfork, along with Ted Washington, along with a lot of those guys. You helped build that team. So for you to come back to the Patriots, building it in a different way, That's amazing within itself. You don't write this script. I think only a few players was able to. I think the only player that was able to go back to his original team and win with him was Tom Flores. I think he went back to the Raiders and won. Yeah, I think he played for the Raiders and went back and won with them. Yeah, except he didn't win Super Bowl. He didn't win that. I don't think he won that Super Bowl with them as a player, but I have to go check. But yeah, he won one as a player and as a coach with the Raiders. So you can't write a better script than that. You cannot.
Fellas, I got my good friend BRF, Mr. Atlanta. He just hopped on to the Sports PSP podcast, man. How you doing, man? We can't hear you, BRF. Now we can hear you.
We can't
Hold on.
no more.
Hold on. I don't know what's going on with my mic. It ain't showing available to select right now, but okay. Nah, I was just kind of hold on. Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, to make sure I'm on. Nah, just no, just out and about. I was up, I was at my family's house. We doing some work, kind of helping my grandma with kind of remodeling her kitchen a little bit. So, trying to get her, trying to get her kind of set in and all that. But outside of that, life is good. I cannot complain. Because I told PSP before I was probably gonna be a little late, so I was trying to get settled in before I hopped on. So
Yes, indeed. What are your thoughts about the NFC? What are your thoughts about the NFC and the AFC championship thus far, though, and the road to the Super
um
Bowl? What do you think about people deeming this as the easiest path to the Super Bowl? Do you disagree with that?
I highly disagree because of the amount of defense that we've seen in this because of the defense we've seen in this Super Bowl. The offenses have really had to the offenses have really had to work. Like they're like outside of maybe that, and even in that San Francisco Seattle game, that was Seattle forcing turnovers and putting their offense in, giving them outstanding field position to do work. And, being able to put up 41 points, it wasn't necessarily like them driving the field. It wasn't them, putting long drives together to really, dismantle San Francisco. So a lot of the games we've seen have been very like defensive oriented, or the defenses have really dictated the tempo as far as like how games have gone. I mean, obviously, well, with the inner, well, I mean, both of the teams I expected to win did win, albeit that New England Denver game was about as ugly as you can get. But I mean, that's the weather, so you can't always necessarily control the weather and what it does. So you really have to adapt to it. You really have to adapt to it and kind of like do the most with what you can do. Um, See, and it's funny because like how we were talking about the Bills game with the Broncos and how Josh Allen put up that that really good stat line. But if you really dig in the context of that game, how he played horribly, you see Drake May's performance and it's like, yeah, he played bad. But when you really look at Drake May's performance in that game, yeah, he didn't have the greatest stat line, but he actually was able to make plays and he was like being smart with the ball and wasn't necessarily turning the ball over like that. Like he made plays when when they needed to be made, and he made the plays. Particularly, like it's funny because shout out Roundup Sports. He like we were watching that game, and like I'm a little kind of like time delayed like compared to like some of the other guys. So I think he just so happened to call he just so happened to say like, oh man, that was a ballsy call, and the play hadn't happened yet. And I'm looking at the TV, I'm like, man, watch this be a quarterback run. Sure enough, 3rd and 7 calls a play action bootleg, runs it, gets first down. I'm like, aha. And it was a perfect play call. I mean, that was mainly just that was a really good defensive game. And that like that I expected New England to win, but I mean that's a callback to the games we used to see in the past with the snow, and the offenses really couldn't do much of anything, and the offenses really couldn't dictate anything. It was just mainly having to adapt with the weather and just needing to make necessary plays. You're waiting on the when New England kind of got rolling as far as like being able to run the ball and control the control the clock, it was kind of like you kind of got the sense that they were about to win that game. But shout out to Jared Stidham, man. He made plays. I mean, considering the weather conditions and how hard it was to throw the ball in that snow, he did a fairly decent job. I mean, it's just one of those things where it was like they kind of they got predictable, particularly that one play where Christian Gonzalez got the interception where he pretty much knew what was coming. So I mean, it's one of those things where New England adapted to the offense that Denver is trying to do. They caught up with them. They were able to get that pick, which ended up being like the biggest turning point of the game, and New England was able to win the game from there. So the AFC game, it went how I was expecting as far as like who's going to win, but I wasn't expecting 10-7. I was expecting a low scoring game, like maybe like a 17-14 or something like that, but not 10-7. But I mean, you can't help weather. But New England definitely won that game. I mean, Denver had every opportunity to win, and like I said, Jared Stidham played a pretty good game considering the circumstances. As far as the NFC Championship was concerned, I figured it was going to be another shootout. I figured it was going to be another shootout. I mean, the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks really gave me no reason to think that game wasn't going to be another, 50 plus, almost 60 point shootout combined between the two. Sam Darnold, like he's got to be one of the best. Sam Darnold's got to be one of the best comeback stories in recent memory. As far as what he's got to be one of the best comeback stories in
BRF,
recent
no,
memory.
BRF. I'm not laughing at that, BRF. I'm laughing because
no.
Champ said exactly what you said. Great minds.
What? Oh,
like,
for real?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Well,
I mean, he's got to be one of the best comeback stories.
No, that's pretty inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, he had to be. He's got to be one of the best comeback stories. He's got to be one of the best comeback stories in recent memory, considering like, being with the Jets and people were kind of getting on Champ in the comments. He was picking the Rams to win, talking about Sam Darnold was going to see ghosts again. Go back to that Monday Night Football game against the New England Patriots where he literally said it where the cameras caught him. I mean, he literally said it's like I'm seeing ghosts out there. I mean, that's really that was like one of the lowest points of Sam Darnold's career when the New England Patriots defense made him look like a deer in headlights, just made him look horrible. And was it
the Patriots defense or was it him with Adam Gase in New York?
Combination. Honestly, it was a combination.
Am I lying?
It was a combination. No, it's a combination. It's a combination because Adam Gase does not deserve another head coaching job. He doesn't. And it was a combination of both because Adam Gase was horrible with the Jets, and then on top of that, that was one of the that was a really good New England defense that was going against Darnold. So I mean, it was pretty much it was a combination. It was a combination. I'll give props to the Patriots and how they played that night, but yeah, Adam Gase was like to say he was a joke as being a head coach of the New York Jets is like one of the biggest understatements in the history of the National Football League. I mean, flat out joke. Eddie Murphy couldn't write a joke better than Adam Gase being the head coach of the New York Jets. I mean, he couldn't. But that, I mean, like, but I mean, I was expecting an NFC title game to be another shootout. I was expecting another close game. But honestly, I felt like not necessarily Seattle had solved the Rams, but the way they were able to come back against the Rams, being down 30-14 and coming back and winning that game, it was almost like I said, it was that last little bit of like, that little last bit of confidence, like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got you on this one, okay. You if we got to play you again, we know we're going to beat you no matter the circumstances. And sure enough, even though Matthew Stafford just continues to do what he's been doing all year and just put up ridiculous numbers against a great defense, which is what he's been doing all year, which is why I made that video on TikTok. Well, I feel like he's going to win the most valuable player, and why I felt like a lot of these people, like that video I stitched was like on the basis of if Stafford's win the MVP, basically the MVP doesn't have any real consistency. When I played devil's advocate and I argued the opposite. Like if you look at how Lamar Jackson won the MVP in 23, how Josh Allen won the MVP in 2024, if Matthew Stafford wins the MVP this year, and I think he should, is going to follow along a lot of the same stat lines, storylines, narratives that we've seen the last 2 years. When you take Lamar Jackson's MVP into consideration, what was the biggest thing that flipped for Lamar Jackson? It was his performance down the stretch against playoff teams. I mean, you look at the game he had against the Lions, where he had like a 155 passer rating, threw for over 300 yards. The game against the Miami Dolphins had a perfect passer rating, another game over 300 yards. And then one of the biggest games of the year against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco, walked them down and basically clinched the MVP award. And then you look at Josh Allen last year. Part of it was he was pretty much piggybacking that team all year. But the two biggest games of the year, being the Chiefs and the Lions, not only are they the first team to beat two 14-win teams in the same season, he combined for 747 yards and 6 touchdowns. I mean, he torched them both. He torched them both, and it basically clinched the award. So when I hear people, I'm not saying I wouldn't be mad if Drake May won the award, because he definitely has a case to it. But when I see people trying to argue about these advanced statistics with Drake May and why he should win MVP, I'm looking at it like, yo, if Stafford's gonna win the MVP based on the same baseline we've seen the last 2 years, Matthew Stafford, I think he's played 7. Like, if you want to throw the playoffs in this, he's played 7 games this season against teams that won at least 11 games. He's thrown 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, over 1,800 yards passing. And not only that, he's faced 8 of the top 16 defenses in the National Football League. And that includes beating the Philadelphia Eagles. That includes beating the Houston Texans. I mean, he has showed up every week against top quality competition, and he's either played good and won, or he's torched them and won. And I think one of the only performances he showed out and they lost was that game against Seattle, where he threw for 457 yards in that game where they blew the lead, but he threw for 457 yards. Like, it wasn't his fault they lost. So the NFC Championship game ultimately came down to Sam Darnold just looking like playing like he's been playing like a top 10 quarterback all year, and nothing changed in that NFC title game on Sunday. Kenneth Walker has basically become the bell cow with Zach Charbonnet getting hurt. He's basically become the guy there in Seattle, taking the load and playing really, really well. And I mean, what else can you say about Jackson Smith and Jigba that hasn't been said? I think he's NFL Offensive Player of the Year.
Do you think BRF? Do you think Jackson Smith and Jigba has a case? Not right now. Do you think he has a case at some point to be considered wide receiver number 1, best receiver in football?
Best receiver.
There's still Justin Jefferson. You still got to look at Puka. You still got to look at Jamar Chase.
I'm still rolling with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as the best 2 receivers in football. I'm not putting Puka or JSN ahead of them yet, but they have both played themselves, I feel, in top 5 wide receiver talks. They have both played themselves into that. And when you think about top 5 wide receivers, you have to think about them. I think Nico Collins still has a case when he's healthy. I still think A.J. Brown has a case when his head is on straight and healthy and playing good ball. So there's about 6 to 8 guys who you can put in top 5 wide receiver talks. I do personally still think 1-2 is 1-2 or 1A 1B is still Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. But I mean, Puka and JSN have really played themselves in the top 5 talk with how they've been playing this season. Like I said, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba probably will end up winning Offensive Player of the Year, and I think he should. As much as I love what Bijan has done in Atlanta, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably he's not going to win it unanimously, but he's going to win it by a pretty hefty margin, because this has pretty much been wire to wire. He's been doing it all year, and the numbers and the consistency it doesn't lie. But that, I mean, just the Seattle defense just was able, even though they gave up yards and they gave up points. I mean, even though Tariq Woolen almost killed that for him, almost blew it.
You mean the special teams? The DB
the taunting, yeah.
No, I know from the DB. Because again, he committed that penalty. I'm like, bro, it's 3rd and 12. You did your part. You got the defense out the football field, and then you commit a dumb play, and then the next play, Puka just killed him.
You get toasted. You get. I mean, I know it's a basketball term, but he was barbecue chicken. He was barbecue chicken on the next play. Could Puka routed him up? routed them up. I mean, you went from arguably making a defensive play of the game, clinching a Super Bowl berth, to getting lit up on the next play. Like it, but just luckily for
You
him,
dodged the bullet.
on that fourth down play, Devin Witherspoon saved his hell making that play in the back of the end zone to clinch it for him. But he's got to be a lot smarter because that was a hell of a play too that he made on Puka. That was a hell of a play to break that ball up. And regardless of whether because I personally think it was a weak call, but at the same time, what have we been saying? Don't put the game in the hands of the referees because they're not always going to help you. You can't do that. So that was really stupid on his part to even put himself in a position to draw a 15-yarder like that. And like you said, it was a 3rd and 12. A 3rd and 12, 15-yard personal foul, automatic first down. You got to think, bro. You got to think. Devin Witherspoon saved your butt. Because if he don't make that play, because if the Rams
that play
come back and win that game, he's the scapegoat, ultimate scapegoat.
Well, thank God for the Seahawks in that case, but also shout out to our good friend Brendan from the block because he's happy as he is happy that his Seattle Seahawks is going back to the Super Bowl. You called it BRF Patriots versus Seahawks, the Super Bowl prediction. It's interesting to see, but next week on the Sports PSP pod, we're gonna make our predictions. But BRF, Champ and I, we talked about this. The floor is yours. I want to hear your thoughts about Belichick not making the first ballot.
Stupid as hell. Just to get the bluntness out the way. Stupid as hell. Stupid. Just absolutely stupid. Look here, as a Falcons fan, will I forever hold a grudge against Bill? I wouldn't hold the grudge against Bill Belichick for 28-3 as bad as I do if he didn't taunt us and throw it in our face every chance he can with the shirts and then the fans doing the 28-3 on the scoreboard. Just he and his freaking 20-some-year-old girlfriend wearing the 28-3 shirt. I mean, if he didn't throw it at us in our faces every chance he could, I wouldn't hold the grudge against him as much as I do. For that he can sit on one and spin. But even still, even still, he deserved to. He is the greatest coach in the history of this league. I know that was a little blunt. I know that was a little blunt.
Over Don Shula. Over Don Shula.
Huh?
Over Don Shula.
Bro.
No,
yes. I know. Yes. Yeah, I know. Don Shula has the wins. I know Don Shula has the wins, but Bill Belichick is the greatest coach ever because it's not just the fact that he has those 6 rings as a head coach. It's the time and era in which he did it. In the salary cap era with turnover at a premium pretty much occurring every single year just about. And then having a guy like Tom Brady, convincing him or him being, the Patriot way, having a guy like Tom Brady that was willing to take less money in order to help you get the best personnel around him in order to continue winning year in and year out. And then add to the fact that you're probably the greatest defensive mind the league has ever seen with your abilities to not only to just call base defense, but your ability to be able to scheme around an offensive best player week in and week out and being able to make someone's strength their weakness and take it away from them. No coach, I feel like no defensive mind in the history of football has been able to do that on a more dominant level and on a more consistent level than Bill Belichick. And I made a video about this too. Bill Polian, that was a punt move. We know it was you. We know it was you. Oh, let's hold Spygate. He shouldn't get in this year because of Spygate and da. I'm like, man, nobody trying to hear that crap. Bro, there are players in the NFL Hall of Fame that have done far worse to not only other people, but themselves, Lawrence Taylor, have done far worse than what Bill Belichick did with Spygate and Deflategate. Yeah, I said it. Lawrence Taylor, freaking first ballot Hall of Famer. We know what Homeboy was doing during the games and all that stuff. We know what he was known for. I feel like that's a far worse offense than what Bill Belichick did as far as Spygate and Deflategate. We're not excusing it. But and then Jimmy Johnson coming out and being like, y'all holding this against him. Coaches were doing this all the time.
You know what term he called them? He called them assholes.
I can't remember. They
They called
yeah,
him
I do.
fat,
Okay, I do remember. Yeah, he did.
and they
He called
called him
he's
cowards as well.
yeah, but and it's yeah, and yeah, he called them cowards and assholes. Like
And Jimmy Johnson would know a thing or two about it. After all, he was not even in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
no, he
So
exactly he wasn't. And it's like Bill Belichick should have been a shoe in first ballot. And the fact that and the thing is, it's not like this is Bill Polian's first rodeo as far as being petty and being an asshole in his own right. Ask Lamar Jackson. Ask Lamar Jackson. Oh, well, I think he should play quarterback because I don't feel he has acumen to be a quarterback. We know what that means reading between the lines, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. So Bill Polian is famous for these. Be nice, Rodro. He's famous for these statements that he's made throughout his career as not necessarily sounding being the brightest or being the sharpest tool in the shed, and that's a shame with him because he's one of the best general managers we've seen in the sport. I mean, look at what those Indianapolis Colts teams did, being able to get talent and be able to really, even though they only beat the Patriots once in the playoffs, the fact that they were able to eat and get a Super Bowl on Tom Brady's watch, to get to be able to win like they did in the AFC on Tom Brady's watch, that says a lot about the IQ and the brain of Bill Polian to be able to bring the best possible players in there in order to compete and hang with the Patriots year in and year out. But this was a punk move. There was a punk move. Like, I mean, and it's like, and I will say this though. I wish that I will say this though. I might get in a little trouble for this. I wish the outrage was there when T.O. missed the Hall of Fame the first 2 years. He does have a point on that one.
I mentioned
But
that.
even
Oh, I mentioned that.
But even
Oh, I
yeah,
mentioned.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, hey, you and you're right for mentioning it because I mean, T.O. in my opinion is the second greatest wide receiver of all time. And I know I'm gonna get into some debates on that one. I've gotten into debates on that one. I think T.O. is number 2 all time behind Jerry Rice. But like Bill Belichick is the unquestioned, undisputed, no debate GOAT head coach ever. And the fact that he even has to sit a year because a GM who was 6-10 against him from 2000 to 2011 and 1-2 in the playoffs against him decide we're going to be petty and we're going to hold Spygate against him. I'm like, bro, come on, man. That is, for me, that's not a good enough reason to hold him out of the Hall of Fame for a year.
Big fella.
Y'all want to know what's so funny about Bill Polian holding grudges about cheating, right? Don't nobody remember the
Yeah.
Indianapolis scandal? Nobody remembers the Indianapolis scandal? Oh, damn,
Didn't
we
have to do with
forgot.
pumping
Remember
crowd
when they
noise?
got found guilty for pumping fake crowd noise into the damn arena?
Pumping crowd noise, yeah.
Yeah, so you talk about
Yeah,
cheating,
they were pumping
fake
crowd noise.
into the arena? Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did I? But champ, the reason why he got reason why Bill Polian he's able to do that to Bill Belichick, and again, I said it before, it's a culmination of things: jealousy, envy, and BRF. You mentioned To just like I mentioned To. You know how funny it is when people say To is not a first ballot Hall of Famer because he didn't meet the criteria, but ironically, Randy Moss he's in the Pro Football Hall of
Randy
Fame on
Moss
the
is a
first.
first ballot Hall of Famer and did far worse than Terrell Owens.
And he had off the field issues that Terrell Owens never had. And
Never did.
Randy Moss admitted, I play when I want to. Plus, champ, your father told you, hey, bro, the moment Dennis Green, God rest his soul, once he fired, sooner or later, Randy Moss gonna get up out of here. Your father did tell you that.
Yes, I remember him saying that. He said, he said it a lot nicer than what I would say, because my dad's old. When Dennis Green got fired, he said Randy Moss is fried. But he put a lot of other words, a lot of other letters in the word fried. Because he said, lo and behold, he said, he finna start acting a fool. And guess what? They finna get hit up out of there. He said it. And
He
lo and
did.
behold, 4 years later, he was traded to Oakland.
And like I said,
Traded to Oakland.
And BRF, you mentioned Randy Moss, To. They used that against To. You didn't use that with Randy Moss last time I checked. Randy Moss
That's
had
what I'm
many
saying.
on the field issues. Randy Moss had off the field issues. But because he was with the media and ESPN, somehow, some way, that got overlooked. And for anyone to tell me that the media did not play a role in this is just absolute.
They lying. They lying to
No,
themselves.
no, hell, I'm gonna use the term bullshit. It's bullshit.
Okay.
Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. No. I know a Hall of Famer when I see one. I know greatness when I see one. Don't tell me Terrell Owens does not belong in the Hall of Fame on the first try as the first ballot just because his character or his reputation and all that other bullshit. If that's the
Champ, come back,
argument
champ.
we're going
Come
to
back, champ.
use, miss
Come
me
back,
with
champ.
that horse shit.
Come back, champ. Come back, champ. Come back, champ. Come back, champ.
Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. Don't tell me it's a nice piece of Hershey Kiss. Don't tell me it's a Snickers bar or some of that shit.
Oh boy.
You know, I kind of thought it was a chocolate painting. I was swimming and he kind of. Oh man, I have got to stop hanging out with y'all every week. I have got to stop hanging out. I need some new friends. I need some new friends.
Thank you to Jim Cornette. Thank you to Jim Cornette.
Oh God. Oh.
Good God.
Oh. Man got me crying. Man got me crying over there.
I gotta stop hanging out with y'all every week. I can't do that though.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate.
Oh man.
Because how are you gonna sit there and tell us with a straight face, a 6-time Super Bowl champion, the second most wins by a head coach, only behind Don Shula, he's out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot? Again, it's just jealousy, vendetta, media. Oh, because he didn't have a great relationship with the media. You know, he didn't do a good job cultivating a relationship with the media. Horse shit.
So who cares? Win. Man,
it's about
man won 19 division. He won 19 division titles. Who cares?
Last time I checked, I thought it was supposed to be about results. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's
Chip.
what I thought too.
My bad, PSP. But I had to tell him what we were talking about earlier. Do you think that they are doing to him, as far as his relationship to the media, what they're doing with Barry Bonds? Because they're trying to hold you.
Absolutely.
Because remember, I talked me and PSP, New Jersey Junior was talking earlier, and I said it's quite ironic that, now granted, I don't know baseball the way BRF does. I'm just gonna keep it all the way above. You want to be a baseball guru, you watch BRF. But this is just what I know and have kind of recollected off memory. Because it's quite ironic that they hold a grudge with Barry Bonds because he quote unquote did steroids, but they don't have that same energy against Big Papi. Remember, he tested positive for steroids.
Exactly.
So I brought up the point that he was kind of being Barry Bonds because people have been cheating in the NFL since the beginning of time. To stick them, from using steroids to using, amphetamines to pep pills to, remember when the Oakland Raiders used to come out there with the cast on, and I brought up the fact, remember Bobby Brown came out there with that fake broken thumb for years, and he would hit LC Greenwood and Mean Joe Green in the stomach and stuff like that. Those guys who coached those teams, they're still in the Hall of Fame. So do you think that's kind of Barry Bonds-esque because he doesn't have the greatest relationship with the media?
That is a really good analogy, because to really kind of piggyback on that as far as Barry Bonds is concerned, my thing with baseball, I don't want to hear them use the steroids era and how they're keeping these players out when they've started to elect players from that era in the Hall of Fame now. Because it's the fact that David Ortiz got into the Hall of Fame was because he was a media darling and the media loved him. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Did he deserve to get in? He's the greatest designated hitter of all time. He absolutely deserved to get in for all his contributions with the Boston Red Sox. I mean, they go 96 years in between world championships, and David Ortiz helps them win four. So I mean, he absolutely deserved to get in. He's the greatest DH of all time. But even still, you tested positive for steroids and you got in because the media loved you. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. Barry Bonds had two Hall of Fame careers. I mean, even before the '01 to '04, like the steroid spike is what I like to call it. Even before that spike, he's the first player in baseball history with 500 home runs and 500 stolen bases, and he was a really, really good defensive outfielder before the steroids, and his body got bigger to a point where he became more of like a DH type, and he wasn't that good of an outfielder anymore. But yeah, that's a really good comparison because they are definitely giving Bill Belichick to Barry Bonds because of his relationship with the media. But albeit that said, like PSP said, it is a results-based, results-driven league. You are the greatest coach of all time. You have 6 championships as a head coach. You have 2 as a defensive coordinator. You have 318 wins all time, 19 division titles. I can't remember how many AFC championships, and then just the 9 appearances with the Patriots and the 6 rings. Like, you are the greatest coach of all time. There's no reason you should be having to sit out a year. I don't give a damn who's being petty. And Bill Polian, you should be ashamed of yourself because this makes the NFL Hall of Fame look entirely worse. And now it's like, oh, great. Because it's like I said in the video, the NFL Hall of Fame is getting to a point where y'all need to stop letting your inmates run the asylum if they can't put people in off of a results based league. If you can see with your clear eyes that this player or this coach is warranted to get in first ballot, you put him in first ballot and you move on to the next one. Because when you look at the finalists, I think my Hall of Fame locks, I'll get into a little bit. I think my Hall of Fame locks right now would be Bill Belichick, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly. Those would be my first ballot locks. Those would be my first locks. And then everybody else, we just kind of go from there. But those four would have those four, if I was voting, they get in. They get in because Luke, because of Kuechly only playing 8 years, but already being considered one of the standards as far as the middle linebacker position, being one of the greatest of all time already. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, you see the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. As good as he was, hardly ever having a top echelon quarterback. Your best quarterbacks in your career was a late in his prime Kurt Warner and a Carson Palmer
Palmer.
who and Carson Palmer who basically got healthy at the right time, goes into Arizona and has some of his and puts up some of his best stats in his career there. But even still, the quarterback play Larry Fitzgerald had at Arizona was so horrible, and to still put the kind of career he had together. But Bill Belichick not getting in first ballot is like one of the biggest jokes in the history of any sports Hall of Fame, and it's like it's not even close.
It just tells you that it's about media and jealous and envy, and why sometimes, man, like with the Hall of Fame, I can't take it seriously anymore because I would like to think all of us, since we all know our sports, we know a Hall of Famer when we see one. Their impact, the
Exactly.
production, the results. To not being a first ballot, he's been 5 first team All Pros, more than Randy. He's unlike Randy. He's a first team All Pro on 3 different teams. Ted Hendricks, Deion Sanders is in that category. So is T.O. But because of reputation or character, and because he wasn't that great with the media, suddenly he was kept out of the Hall of Fame the first 3 times. Chris Carter kept out of the Hall of Fame 6 times. So is it about merit? Is it about production? Or is it about who we like, who we dislike, and who we want to bring in or not? And I asked this question:
Exactly.
is Brady going to be in the Hall of Fame? Are they going to do the Brady like they did the Belichick? I don't think
Brother,
so.
if they're not, no, they're not gonna do Tom Brady
If they
like
do
they're not.
that,
Well,
they were
the
right.
chance the chance
Yeah,
the chance the chance would have been there had he not gone to work for Fox Sports. But I'm telling you right now,
that
even
but
if he
that's my
didn't
but
work
that's
for,
my but that's
yeah,
my point, BRF.
Yeah.
I don't believe he will. I don't believe they're going to keep Tom Brady out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Here's why. You mentioned Fox. He's involved with the media. Unlike Belichick, Brady is well liked and perceived by the media. Brady's called the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Belichick, do I think if Belichick had a rapport with the media, had he done a better job conducting himself with the media, perhaps he would have been in on the first ballot. But regardless, the fact that you he's not a first ballot, that is just criminal of itself, given the Super Bowl championships, the second most wins, everything else. And I understand people will look at Vince Lombardi. There's a trophy named after him. He's not a first
Mm-hmm.
ballot. Bill Parcells is not
Nope.
even a first ballot. But we got to stop holding people to the standard, or we need to change the criteria. And I'll ask you this question, BRF. If we're going to keep on holding people with characters, their reputations, and stuff like that, there's a certain quarterback who played in Pittsburgh for 18 years, Ben Roethlisberger. He belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on his merit, but off the field, there isn't much pretty good things to say about him, particularly Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and just like Champ in your home state, Georgia, Milledgeville.
Mhm. Is he up for the Hall
If
of Fame
they,
this
I
year?
mean,
Ben, he retired in
um,
2022, so he's got like another year left.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think I think it'll be next year. He'll be up.
And Shannon
2027 will
Sharp,
be his. Yeah.
he's mentioned all the time. He was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame room when Brett Favre's name was mentioned. No time they mentioned Bankhead Brett. No time they mentioned the Vicodin addiction. No time they mentioned the pictures that he sent to Jen Sturger, the female employee of the New York Jets. They never brought up how Brett Favre, how he retired and then unretired.
The media loved Brett Favre because he had the, the he had the child. They always praise him like he had the childlike spirit going out there playing the quarterback position. He gave it his all and da 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 da. He was the media darling. But I mean, Brett Favre, regardless of what you think of him as a person, Brett Favre is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, for a good 5 year stretch, he was the face of the National Football League. And not just from a quarterback perspective. Brett Favre was the face of the National Football League, not just from a quarterback perspective. He was the face. So it's like you definitely can't write the history without Brett Favre. I mean, Brett Favre was the NFL for a pretty good stretch.
He was.
So they're not gonna hold. So he's gonna like there he's gonna get in as first on the first ballot, and like with and Tom Brady, Tom Brady's gonna get in first ballot. I mean,
If t-
regardless of whether Tom Brady
I'll
was in the
state
media
this.
or not, he better have got in. He better be getting in first ballot regardless.
I'll state this. I think Skip Bayless played a role for Belichick being kept out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not saying that he didn't vote, but because of his platform and because he's been on First Take and Undisputed, raving about Tom Brady like he has often said he'll give Brady 75-80% of the credit. Meanwhile, Belichick 25 to 20% of the credit. After all, this is the same Skip Bayless that did call T.O. Team Obliterator. And remember, was it all that bad in T.O. in Philadelphia? Last time I checked, and that's one of the reasons why, champ, when we had Babyface heel, you had Donovan McNabb as a babyface. I had him as a tweener because there were times Donovan didn't behave presidential, or in the words of Colin Cowherd, quarterback heel. Because remember, Brian Westbrook was in the midst of a contract negotiation. Donovan spoke for his behalf, but not for T.O.'s. As you mentioned, for a teammate who was there with T.O. and Donovan. Remember when Donovan told T.O. to shut the bleep up?
Yeah.
Or when Donovan, the night before the Super Bowl, hey, he was drinking. What person do you know the night before the Super Bowl was drinking? And T.O., he was coming back off an injury. Labeled selfish to play in the Super Bowl in a game of that magnitude.
I don't drink the night before a test, much less football game. I
Facts.
was like the night before a test, but that's a football game.
But you see the hypocrisy.
Exactly. So I mean, hey, it's all these days, man. Sports has changed for better for worse. Sports have changed, man. It's about narrative. It's about narrative now, and we all are going to speak from a place of a narrative. If it fits the narrative, and I don't think this. Let me be real careful about what I'm going to say here, because I want everybody to read between the lines, but I want you to walk with me what I'm about to say here. We live in a society of narrative, especially when it comes to sports and among other things. It all depends on who we like. Drake made, he goes to a Super Bowl. Everybody clowning them, saying this and that, and the third. Had Josh Allen or let's say Patrick Mahomes or anybody else, one of the big five, I call them the Power Five. The Power Five had went to a Super Bowl taking this very, very route. They probably would be singing their praises forever. And it's probably would have been considered as the best route to the Super Bowl. But I believe these days, as far as journalism in general, whether it be politics, sports, or etc., I think that the media has changed it to narrative, and I don't think the athletes being involved in media has has made it any better. I think they've made it worse.
It has. And I just think, but like I said, man, which champ nearly fell off his chair. Don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate.
I
But
ain't never
I
heard
mean,
that
it's a
before. That's a good one. I ain't never heard that one before.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I copy. No, I didn't copy it from somebody else. But after watching all them Jim Cornette videos, like I always watch, you ain't gonna stop me from watching Jim Cornette, champ. That's one thing you ain't gonna stop me from doing. As often you call him colorful.
colorful, very, very
Oh
colorful.
boy, that's about one of them, that's easily one of the most colorful things I've heard you say.
Mm-hmm. Very,
But
very colorful.
speaking of explain this to me on a far less serious note, Shedeur Sanders, he made the Pro Bowl. Much Not much to brag or do about nothing. It's not that big of a deal to me. Look, Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl in 2023. And by the way, Tyler Huntley, when he finished that season in 2022, he only played started 4 games. He started 4 games, finished with 658 passing yards, 2 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. And the only reason why he started because Josh Allen was injured. He couldn't go. Patrick Mahomes went to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow probably didn't want to go because of the AFC Championship loss to Kansas City. Justin Herbert was injured. Tua Tagovailoa was injured. Lamar Jackson was injured. He didn't play in that game against Cincinnati, the playoff game, to which Michael Vick told Lamar to suit up. But RG3 said, no, 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 sit this one out. And fortunately for Lamar and Baltimore, he made the right decision because the following year, Lamar Jackson ended up winning the league MVP for the second time in his career. I think the NFL did it from a business standpoint because, again, after all, Shedeur Sanders is a household name because of being the son of Deion Sanders. A lot of people wanted to see Shedeur Sanders play. Matter of fact, wasn't his jersey at the time, champ, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the highest selling jerseys?
Yes, indeed, it was.
Right. So my thing is, if you wanted to see somebody else start for the Pro Bowl over Shedeur Sanders, how about Cam Ward? Cam Ward showed you some flashes on why he was drafted with the #1 overall pick. If you wanted to go with someone else that was more deserving of Shedeur, okay, fine, that's understandable. But I don't really have much of a problem with Shedeur being in because, again, it's late in the season. NFL is looking to find a way to attract their fans and attention. Shedeur Sanders, say whatever you want, is entertaining because the personality, and I do love the fact that Todd Monken, y'all Georgia Bulldogs, y'all former offensive coordinator, is now the head coach for Cleveland. I do like that for Shedeur Sanders' development. Now you got to give Shedeur Sanders some more talent to work with, as opposed to throwing the football to Jared Judy. You have Quinshawn Jenkins, you have the running game, you have Njoku. So get Shedeur some wide receivers, Get yourself an offensive lineman. Now, unfortunately, how are you going to move on from Jim Schwartz? Only time will tell. But do y'all have a problem with Shedeur going to the Pro Bowl? I don't. Because Tyler Huntley, he made the Pro Bowl. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler Huntley, I'm just reading the stat right here. Huntley threw 2 touchdown passes this season, the fewest by far for a quarterback selected to the Pro Bowl since the 1970 merger. According to ESPN Stats and Information Research, the previous low was 6 touchdown passes by the Philadelphia Eagles' Mike Borla back in 1975. In filling for the injured Jackson for 6 games, again, Huntley passed for a total of 658 yards, which was ranked 48th in the NFL that season.
I don't have a problem with
I
it because
mean,
Joe Flacco just got named to the Super Bowl today, to the Pro Bowl today. Joe Flacco just got named to the Pro Bowl today, and he had 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns to 10 picks, and he had a QBR of 41.1%. That was 25th in the league. It's the Pro Bowl, people. It hasn't meant anything for a very, very long time. In fact, they don't even play the game anymore. It's the Pro Bowl. Fans,
I guess you saw Sean Merriman's statement.
and it hasn't meant anything for a very, very long. And no disrespect to the great Sean Merriman, but it's not what it was before. It used to be a big honor. It still is to a lot of players, but it's not where you're considered the best of the best like you used to. And even back when the Pro Bowl was the best of the best, I've said this, not been on record. And BRF, I've said this before. I said this last week on our show. Even when the Pro Bowl meant something, people were trying to find reasons to get out of playing in the Pro Bowl. And their goal was not even to make the Pro Bowl. Their goal was to make the All Madden team. Their goal, when you was back in the day, in the 90s, and even in the early 2000s, before he stopped doing it, your goal was not to make Pro Bowl, not even All Pro. Your goal was to make the All Madden team, to be on the TV special at Fox, and to get that trophy, to get that jacket, and to get that call from John Madden. That was your goal. The way they looked at it, anybody can make the Pro Bowl. Anybody can make All Pro. I want to make the All Madden team. Remember when Shannon Sharp and Sterling Shaw, they both made the All Madden team? They had that little TV special, them calling each other, saying, guess what? I made the All Madden team. Yeah. The Pro Bowl is not what it used to be. It used to be where you were judged strictly by your peers. Strictly by your peers. And even now, you're judged 1/3 of your peers and coaches, 1/3 of the fans, and 1/3 by the media. So guess what? Shedeur made the Pro Bowl because of fans, his peers, and the media. And look, it's not what it was before. It's not what it was before. It used to be a big, huge deal. Depending on who you ask now, it still is. But it's not the deal that it used to be back in the 90s. It's not the big deal that it used to be. You don't get the Pro Bowl jerseys anymore. You don't get to see you don't get the trading cards of your favorite players at the Pro Bowl rocking their jerseys, rocking everything like that. You don't get that anymore. You don't. So for people to be making a big deal out of this than it already is, it's the Pro Bowl. Now, if they would have said he made All Pro, oh hell yeah, it's some problems that we have to go to. It's some channels that we have to knock down. But it's the Pro Bowl. He was an alternate. It wasn't like he was voted to first, the second, or the third team. A lot of guys can't go, so they said, "Look, Shedeur, come on. You got the fan voting, you got the vote by your peers, you got the vote by the media. Come on, let's invite you in." And apparently Todd Monk can see something in him because the first thing he said today when he met with him, he said, excuse me for saying this, PSP, but I'm gonna use a little bit of profanity. He said, "I tried drafting your ass in Baltimore. You ain't want to come. I got you now." That's the first thing he said when he shook Shedeur Sanders' hand today.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently his coach sees something in it because he was the one that wanted to draft him. So Look, it's not a big deal. Joe Flacco made the Pro Bowl this year. He only threw for 2,000 yards, 2,400 yards, 10 picks, and all of those are ranked 25th, 24th, 23rd, and 25th in the league. And he made the Pro Bowl. Like I said just a few seconds ago, it's all about narrative because Shedeur Sanders is a very, very polarizing figure because they don't like him and they consider him a quote unquote Nepo baby. It's going to be all of these little nuances thrown in. It's going to be all of these nuances thrown in. It's all depending on who you ask. But at the end of the day, he was an alternate at the Pro Bowl. He was not voted first, second, or third team. A lot of guys can't go. I'm pretty sure Drake May, he can't go because he has to go to the Super Bowl. And usually that's tradition. When you got to go to the Super Bowl, you don't go to the Pro Bowl. So it's not that big of a deal. I think that people are looking. It's kind of like your parents coming home and you done cleaned up the entire house and they telling you to get up and mop the rug. That's what I compare it to. I done did everything in the house. The dishes clean, the floor mopped with Pine Sol, the cabinet, the curio cabinet wiped down with Pledge. I mean, the house smelling like Fabuloso and everything. But you so hell bent on trying to raise hell about something that you want to come in here and tell me to mop that, get your ass up and mop that rug, boy. You just want to be upset that's that bad. Like, he's an alternate. If the Pro Bowl list would have came out initially and he would have made the Pro Bowl, that would have been a whole nother story. And look, the same people who complain about Shedeur Sanders being a Pro Bowler are the same people who tried to vote Sophie Cunningham to the WNBA All-Star game, although she averaged 2 points. So it's Pro Bowl. Let it go.
Go ahead, BRF.
I don't know. I don't know. I was taken aback by it at first, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I can't, because I was like, maybe he shouldn't. Okay, they invited him, maybe he shouldn't take it. But I'm like, because I was thinking about, the expectation was going to be put on him going into next year. But honestly, you know what? He was an alternate. I mean, it's not like he was like voted in. It's kind of one of those things where he's probably one of the last kind of resort kind of guys, because each league needed three, so you had to ask somebody, and I guess they figured, regardless of like, if you like, okay, are you gonna ask Shedeur or are you gonna ask Cam Ward in terms of like marketing the Pro Bowl game? You're probably gonna go to Shedeur. So I mean, if I'm Shedeur, I'm not gonna not take it. So I mean, shout out to him. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it's not that big a deal. When you really think about it, it's not that big a deal him making it to the Pro Bowl. So yeah, because I mean, there have been too many alternates that have made it, and you've seen their numbers, and you're just like, oh well, yeah, they definitely don't deserve to be there. They got there because they were kind of like a last resort. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all as far as him going to the Pro Bowl.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing about what I said earlier. But to your point, yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. Shedeur Sanders, look, I hope he and Todd Monken do some good things in 2026. Whether you believe Shedeur Sanders is the guy or not, I think Shedeur Sanders, I think he'll be okay in the NFL level. I just want to see him succeed. And to Champ's point, Todd Monken, he wanted him in Baltimore. And Todd Monken, hey, listen, even though Mike Bobo still, I mean, there's some questions about him, BRF, but man, imagine if y'all had Todd Monken back at Georgia. Y'all may win another national championship. Who knows? Because of
Yeah,
that play calling and
yeah, yeah. I would have liked him. I even though I did like Gunnar Stockton and Mike Bobo's offense, because I mean I just like it's the play calling and the scheme and like using the quarterback that could run. Gunnar Stockton and Todd Monken's offense definitely would have been it would have been nasty. It would have been nasty.
well, you got the most out of Stetson Bennett with that offense. And Gunnar
Yeah.
Stockton
Oh,
has much
most
more
definitely.
ability. So
Yeah.
why?
Oh, most definitely. Like that was like seeing Stetson Bennett basically going from walk on to maybe being the greatest quarterback in the history of the University of Georgia. That's like, yeah, that's like big time. That's like big time progress, and that's big time performance. And but yeah, Todd Monken, boy, like being able to watch his offense those years when he was in Athens was just like that was like art. Watching his offense, that was art. Like, and it was like just like the flawlessness, his ability to adapt to whatever defense he played. Like he wasn't scared to call anything. Like he knew what to run, and he brought that mentality to the NFL. I'm happy for him. I want to see what he does with Cleveland. I think Shedeur has a lot of that has a lot of the skill sets that I think that can thrive in a Todd Monken offense because Todd Monken is predicated on running the ball. So you hope you have Quinshon Judkins back healthy. You have Dylan Sampson. So you got a good 1-2 punch. I mean, it's predicated as far as the quarterback's ability to bootleg, to run, use his legs. Shedeur has obviously shown pretty very good flashes already in the league as him being able to use his legs. So I think he'll fit right in the Todd Monken scheme. Now it's on Todd Monken to not just be a play caller and be an offensive coordinator. Now it's time to like really be that leader, to be that face, to kind of show what you can do, as far as a head coach. Because it's not like he hasn't been a head coach before. He's been a head coach before. He was a head coach at Georgia Southern University. So he's been a head coach before, and he was okay at Georgia Southern. But now we kind of want to see him like really. You want to see him take it to the next level, having a job like this with Cleveland, and you just I hated he has to deal with that front office. But I feel like if there's any new first time coach that could come in and maybe do something with the lack of competency they have in that front office, it might be Todd Monken. But I wish them both nothing for the best. I feel like Shadeur's got a lot to offer to a Todd Monken offense. We'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, Gunner Stockton with Todd Monken. That's kind of like Champ with Megan Thee Stallion.
That's a win-win situation as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, ultimate win.
Yeah,
Sorry, Clay.
you
Sorry,
talking
Clay.
about you
Sorry,
talking about Champ maximizing his potential. Hey,
hey, sorry, Clay. She came to the chocolate factory, brother.
Boy, boy,
but
boy!
but
If I had some of that water in me, boy, that shit.
but man. All right, fellas, let's get into our favorite subject, or my favorite subject on the Sports PSP podcast, babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, babyface is a good guy, heel is a bad guy. The tweener is someone in between babyface or heel. So I come up with a list of athletes or celebrities or whoever, and me and the panel, we're going to decide whether they are a babyface or heel. Whoever wants to go. Calvin Benjamin. You talk
What?
about Eddie Lacy eating himself out
Wait
the
a
league.
minute. Wait a minute. We are supposed to be bringing up guys who are relevant, who at least had a decent run. The only thing I remember him from is this. Only thing I remember him is this. Him talking about Cam Newton and Cam Newton confronting him. That's one thing. And what Booger McFarland said about him. He's a biscuit away from being a tight end. That's the only two things I remember. And he was out of the league within a year after going to Buffalo after he said, well, I got a better quarterback now. So I don't know what to say about you. You had enormous potential coming out of Florida State. You had 1,000 yards receiving. And a lot of people thought that once you came back, when Cam made it to the Super Bowl without you, everybody just assumed that you were going to be one of the catalysts to help him out and become that premier receiver. Instead, you kind of became the a blimp on the map. And it's just like we didn't even see, in the great words of Coach Riley off of what's the movie The Mighty Ducks, you're not even a has been.
You were
You
never
were never
was.
was. You were not even a has been. You never was. You had a good season in 2014. got 1,000 yards. Then you had another good season in Carolina in 2016. Those were the best two seasons that you had, and ironically, you had them with Cam Newton. But the first thing you go and do is talk about, yeah, I got a new quarterback now. You got drafted in 2014, 28th overall. They thought you was going to be the guy. They thought you were going to be the guy. By 2019, you were out of the NFL. You couldn't even succeed with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, you are undisputed here. Look, if you're going to have a lot of mouth, you're going to talk that talk, run your mouth. I have no problem with that. I love the trash talk. I love all that stuff because guess what? When I was playing Madden, I used to do it. I didn't do it when I played competitive sports because boxing is a whole nother ball game. That ain't the type of sports you get to talking in, unless you Floyd Mayweather, but that's a whole nother ball game. But you can't talk smack, especially about your quarterback, and you don't succeed without him. Guys who have talked smack about their quarterback, Donovan McNabb, not Donovan McNabb, T.O., I'll stop right there. He succeeded without McNabb. He made an All Pro. He made the Pro Bowl. So if you're gonna talk smack about your former quarterback, who you had your best seasons with, and the minute that you left Carolina, you fell off a cliff. You are a heel. Like I said, you wasn't even a has-been. You never was. You got to the NFL, had two good seasons, and after that, boom. You stepped into the window and broke the wall down. And I ain't talking about in production either. You're a heel.
ERF.
Boy, for Calvin Benjamin, boy, we need to come up with a new category for him. You got babyface, you got heel, we got tweener, we need a section called X Pac Heat. We need a section called X Pac Heat. That go away, we don't want to see you irrelevant heat. That's how bad of a heel he was. Like
What, the all you
it's a
can eat
shame.
buffet heel? Because he and Eddie Lacy. Yeah, we talked about Eddie Lacy last week. He ate himself.
Bro, Calvin Benjamin, like when he came out of because he went to Florida State. When
Yes, he
he
did.
came out of Florida State, and early on, you looked at him, you thought he had potential. It's not like he wasn't a talented guy. He had talent, and I mean, like Champ said, he had the 1,000 yard season in 2014. So I mean, there's obviously something to build off of, and then of course the Super Bowl year we had another good year, but it's just like I don't know, like he stopped like it's just like he stopped caring, like he just felt like he felt like he was old something, and then like nobody gave it to him, and it's like he just stopped trying. And yeah, and like what Champ said, man, if you get Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and you can't build off of something with either one of them, it's a good thing you're not in the league anymore because nobody else would have given you a chance anyway. And I mean, like I said, it's a shame because Calvin Benjamin was a good receiver early on in his career. He was a good receiver. I mean, big body, had a little bit of speed, decent route runner, had decent hands. I mean, did a lot of things good at the wide receiver position. And for him to just throw it away like that, man, you hate seeing the stories like that because you want everybody to succeed at the end of the day, but sometimes you have to look at it from like from a mental perspective, a mental mindset. Like he kind of, he kind of. I feel like after Carolina, he kind of lost it. So I mean, yeah, he's definitely a heel. I mean, like I said, Kelvin Benjamin has his own category. We call him jobber. That's how irrelevant he was.
I never thought I would bring him up for babyface heel. Very controversial one. Carl Malone. The board's pretty
Ah,
unanimous.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
I
respond to
don't
that,
know how to touch that one.
and
I don't
I'm
know how to
not.
touch that one.
I don't want to
Ooh,
touch
ooh,
that one, and
ooh,
I want to
ooh.
put fine gloves on that because, oh shit. On one hand, before that came out, it was just like he was one of the most squeaky clean players in the league. He was, I mean, he was the John Wayne. He was the black John Wayne of the NBA. That's how they portrayed him in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody portrayed him, and he. I remember they had this thing where he used to come in people's houses and he would tear up their mortgage. I mean, he would just do that every single year. He was big in philanthropy. He was big in the Utah community. Um, it was a lot of great things that he did. But like I always say, man, 1,000 attaboys is eclipsed by one aw shit. Because that right there, I'm not saying what it is. Y'all go look that shit up. 'Cause you ain't finna
It's
get
a
me arrested.
it's a big one.
It's a big one. That's an atomic bomb and shit right there. That right there, bro. Like I said, I'm not finna say what happened. I'm gonna let you look it up. Because guess what? I don't even want to touch it.
Mm.
But yeah, when that came out, especially in modern day social media, they ate him alive. They
Just
ate him
that.
alive, especially, you know, considering the fact that one of the guys played for the Buffalo Bills. He had yet to acknowledge him as a son. But it wasn't the fact that he had an illegitimate child. Let me just be clear. It was the fashion in which
The
everything
context.
happened. It was the context, and I'll let you go and look up that context for yourself. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to say what it was. I encourage you to go look at Google, but that was something that, not to mention, his beef with Kobe Bryant, late great Kobe Bryant, on his way out, because allegedly he said something kind of, derogatory to his wife on his way out of Los Angeles, and you know, I can't even say. Look, man, considering the magnitude of that, and although you were the John Wayne of the NBA at one point, and you was one of the most squeaky clean guys, I, I don't know. That's how controversy that is. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I can't find the words, because you don't want to. I'm trying to be real careful about this, because I don't. Because some people would bypass that and say, well, one mistake does not make an entire lifetime. But that was, especially when you think about guys like Lawrence Taylor and people like that, we don't think of them any less, although, they had their things go on. But that was, boy, that was an atomic bomb for the ages right there. And that's some, hey, you need to add another category, man, outside of Java. You need to add Vince McMahon to that, because that's who I look, well, Vince McMahon.
Mm.
I'm man, all due respect, man. I still got your rookie card. I'm not gonna lie, I still have it. It's
Him and
in.
Stockton still to this day one of the greatest duos to have never captured a championship. But yeah, obviously when you think of Karl Malone outside of the basketball player, ain't nothing pretty much positive to say. I mean, those two particular incidents, as well as other things in his career, I mean, look, whatever's done in the dark will always come into light.
Yeah, that shit came to the light and it shined bright. I'm just being real. It hit like Haley's Comet. Now the thing is, look, in fairness to him, I will say this: it had already been known across the league. I remember when I was a child, Sports Century came out, and
It was already out.
it was already out. But in this social media era, and I know a lot of people kind of brazed over it back then, because back in the day, a lot of crazy shit happened that, it's just like, did that really happen? These days, if something like that happens, everybody would be, they'll say, bring out the guillotine, but way back when, it wasn't cool, but a lot of people tolerated it. Let's just put it that way. but it was already around. But when it hit the social media era, especially when he was about to host the dunk contest, when it came to the NBA All Star game coming to Utah, y'all got a bad reputation for fucking up shit. I'm just gonna be real with you. Y'all got a bad reputation. Y'all need to fix yourself. Y'all got a horrible reputation, bro. Y'all gonna be about as bad as Los Angeles in a minute. So, yeah.
Look, I mean, a lot of crazy shit. I mean, a lot of crazy shit been happening lately. I mean, we just saw Don Lemon just got arrested and now released out of jail. So
Yeah, Utah, y'all need to do better.
Oh,
Damn, y'all, I believe think
yes.
y'all bad luck
Yes, they
up
do.
here. 'Cause
Yes,
shit,
they do.
y'all need to
Oh
straighten up. I
gosh,
thought y'all was
bro,
religion out there.
brothers. I'm making this one short and sweet. That one big thing that Champ is talking about. It offsets everything he did professionally, and he's one of the greatest power forwards to ever live. That one incident offset everything I feel like he did professionally. He's a heel. I don't even need to delve into this. All I'll say is this: I will say this though. That Buffalo Bills player, it's not just any Buffalo Bills players. Deion Dawkins is the best offensive lineman they got on the team. It's Deion Dawkins, and we'll
Oh,
leave it at that.
okay,
huh?
It's Deion.
okay.
Yeah,
Deion
it's
Dawkins
Deion
was a
Dawkins.
gun. Oh shit,
It's
I
Deion
didn't know that.
Dawkins.
I thought it was
Yes,
Demetrius
it's Deion.
Bell.
No, I think it's one of them. It's one of them.
It was
It's one
Demetrius
of them.
Bell. I think I thought
I have to
Demetrius.
look it up. It might be Demetrius Bell, but it's one of them. It's
Huh.
yeah. I'll look it up too because I don't want to give anybody the wrong information.
No, Demetrius Bell.
Yeah, it's Demetrius
Okay,
Bell.
all right. So it is Demetrius Bell.
Yeah, it was Demetrius Bell. He played for
Okay,
Buffalo back
Yeah, but
way
yeah.
back when. But
But he did. Yeah, he was in Buffalo at the time. It is Demetrius Bell. But
yeah,
yeah.
but point being still, like, yeah, he's a heel. Just no. Nowadays with social media and just everything that's kind of brought the light at a certain moment of time, it's like something like that is just no. Something like that's too much. So no,
And
I ain't even gonna dive into that much. He's a heel.
he's a heel.
I think he's considered a heel nowadays. Back then, maybe a tweener
Yeah.
because to your point, champ, and I watched the Sports Century documentary as you did. It was documented, but there wasn't this much blowback. There was much more blowback being an absentee for Carl being an absentee father. Remember, one of his daughters played for the WNBA, the Detroit Shock.
Hmm.
I think her name was Cheryl Ford.
Yeah, and then I never forget she won her first championship
Yes.
ring with him in
Shit,
attendance. She's like, I won my ring before
I
you
mean,
did.
you
Mhm.
did.
So yeah, that was ooh, like I said, that make my flesh crawl right there. That's worse than that's. Oh man, sorry, but that's ooh, I can't begin to. I should shudder to think.
All right, last one for Babyface Heel. Big fella, you go first. Phil Jackson.
Okay, look, Phil, Phil, Phil Jackson was a babyface, man. My humble opinion. Phil Jackson was a babyface, and look, those little nuances that everybody's going to get on to him for throwing shade at LeBron and his quote unquote posse or what have you. But the thing is, you have to think about when he said that who he played, who he coached. Remember, before Phil Jackson became coach, I never forget Skip Bayless said it best, excuse me. uh, Michael Jordan's entourage was with besiegers or hangers on. There was a lot of hanger-ons around Michael Jordan, and Phil was able to convince Michael Jordan to kind of shake them off. And he put walls behind put the practice behind closed doors in practice. And it was just all about the team. And look, he didn't succeed at New York. I think the best thing that he ever did that he had it right was he drafted Porzingis. Everybody was kind of knocking him at that, but he drafted him and he was right about that. But you cannot convince me that a guy who has 13 rings is terrible. Now, to a point that we made last week, me and UPSP, I have to give you your credit as well. We did bring up the fact that Robert Ory, the great big shot Rob, had to check Phil Jackson at one point because he always used to tell people, remember who your master is.
Master, yeah.
And what he was trying to tell people, remember who your master is within. Remember, you are the master of your environment. Remember who your master is. But when you got a lot of African American players around, that could be perceived as a lot of things. But I can't. The only problem the thing is your job to win games. And I understand he had a bad relationship with Jerry Krause. He had the book with Kim and Kobe. He was able to make amends with that. And he was able to make amends, you know. And he was able to, hey, come on back. And we was able to go to 3 straight NBA finals and win back to back. And after that, he had nothing but great things to say about Kobe. You know, all his players loved him. I think it's unfortunate right now that Chester Cheetah is going on his little revenge went on his little revenge tour with his book, that being Scottie Pippen. But you know, tell me he don't look like Chester Cheetah with them damn braids in his head. Tell me. He got them damn Larry Bird braids, no hang time in his head. That's just crazy. He'll never be PSP, that's for damn sure. But how you got braids and no hang time, man? That dude shit come right here. I'm just saying, that shit come right here. Cut that shit off and go back to that damn
That's
TWA you
that.
had.
This is why, folks, we are called the highlight of Friday nights
He
for a
need to go.
reason.
He need to go back to that damn Tina Weenie afro that he had, that little box he had, and leave that where it is. Worst thing he ever did with them braids, bro. You like the old, looking like the old Washington Commanders logo or something. I don't know what the hell he got going on. But yeah, Phil Jackson's a baby face, man. Yeah, he had his hang-ups, but few and far in between, man. It's just you can't blame a coach for not transitioning well into the new age. You can't teach old dogs new tricks at times. Just being real. And look, as I get older, I find myself doing that. I find myself doing that. You kind of get into the old school principles. You kind of are stuck in your, and it's not because, and it's not a question of black and white. It's a question of young and old. The old guys do this. The young guys don't necessarily do that. The old guys don't like their star players hanging around with entourages. You saw what he did with Michael Jordan. New guys, hey, I'm gonna hang out with my guys. My guys are this, So, I can't get mad at Phil for saying that. He had his posse. Okay, you got to think about what Jordan was before Phil Jackson came. Like I said, like Skip Bayless said, Michael Jordan had an entourage with a procedure of hangers on. A lot of hanger ons was around Jordan until Phil was like, you need to get rid of all these guys, man. They ain't no good to you. And that was it. When you coach Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, you have a picture in your mind about what professionalism is, about what a basketball player is. That's what you have that picture in your mind as. And when somebody doesn't fit that, it's kind of like, I don't really like that too much. It's kind of like me doing a podcast with you guys. When I go to another podcast, I'm expecting them to be like BRF and Sports PSP. That's not going to always be the case. So I say babyface won 11 championships, much like much like Bill Belichick can't write the story of the NBA without Phil Jackson. Not only did he win 11 rings, 11 rings in three different decades, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. Not only that, won two rings of his own in New York when the Garden was Eden with Willis Reed, and could relate to one of the most enigmatic, one of the greatest enigmas, arguably in NFL history, was able to relate to him. Dennis Rodman. Remember, Phil Jackson wrote a book called Maverick.
Dennis Rodman wrote a book called Bad as I Want to Be.
It's the
Same
same
book.
book. It's the same book.
Plus the Native American tribes.
Yeah, the Native Americans. And like I said, people always want to throw context around a little bit more than it should be. I'll leave it at that. But you got to think about the way he does things. Like I said, the only problem that people ever say about that was when Robert Orr had to check about remember who your master is. But he was talking about the master within, how you master your environment, how you master yourself. Other than that, have you ever heard any of his players say anything bad about him? Other than Chester Cheetah? Probably not.
J.R. Smith. There was one time in which he did an interview with the New York Knicks and he brought up J.R. Smith and his gal and why he decided to move on from J.R. and went to Cleveland. I thought that was inappropriate by Phil Jackson to do that because you constantly talking about keeping things in house.
Okay.
Champ, you always tell me, hey, you got to practice what you preach. Phil's a tweener. I can't. First of all, let's talk about the posse comments. LeBron didn't take it too well. Neither did Rich Paul. Neither did Maverick Carter. Because at the end of the day, these are businessmen. And this was during LeBron's time, I think, in Miami. So the fact that you would label them posse, because you called LeBron posse before in your book, the last season. But LeBron was a kid in basketball or sports terms. This is LeBron James, who's in his mid to late 20s in Miami, already a proven commodity. Already one of the most well-known athletes at that time, and still. But you refer to him, you refer to Maverick Carter and Rich Paul as posses. And when you use the term posse, that's more like fetching cars, fetching women. The other problem I had with Phil Jackson, remember, rest his soul, David Stern. He implemented the dress code back in the fall of 2005. Phil Jackson didn't have the greatest things in the when he said about the dress code. He actually was in support of the dress code. Matter of fact, the hip hop music, he described it as prison garb or thuggery. Like I said, champ, the reason why you called Allen Iverson a babyface, even though I called him a tweener, and I'm more convinced now to call him a babyface. One of the reasons why I respect and admire Allen Iverson and others, just because you may not wear a suit and tie doesn't mean you're unprofessional. And it doesn't make you a horrible human being, because your father has told you yourself, champ, there are people who wear suits and ties. Am I lying? There are
In the
people who
great
wear
words of Chuck D, now more than ever.
Yeah, there are people who wear suits and ties, and last time I checked, those are the type of people you have to be concerned or worried about.
Yep.
And when I look at Phil Jackson, he's a tweener because of the last season. You wrote the book. You exposed Kobe. You were revealing stuff that you shouldn't have done, but you did it anyway to promote your book. You said, I won't coach this team anymore as long as Kobe's on the team. He won't listen to anybody. I've had it with this kid. You were revealing about Kobe not liking the plane that he was flying on his way to Eagle County, Colorado throughout his trial. You were revealing personal business. And not only that, with the New York Knicks, you only went there just because of the money. You didn't do a good job as far as helping out Carmelo Anthony. Remember the tweet he posted about Carmelo Anthony?
No, I don't remember that. What was the tweet?
Let me see right here. I gotta remember. It was something about Carmelo holding on to the ball too long, something like that. I gotta go remember and look up that tweet. I know he said something in a tweet. That I do know.
Because I thought that was Jordan
Wasn't that
Clarkson.
like what wasn't
Bleacher,
that like
yes,
the
I got it right here.
wasn't that like the oh, go ahead.
Bleacher dings almost rings the bell, but I learned you don't change the spot on a leopard with Michael Graham in my CBA days. Something
Mm.
regarding about Carmelo Anthony at that time. And the thing is, Phil Jackson, you're president of basketball operations for the New York Knicks. You did a horrendous job. The Joakim Noah deal, and I love Joakim Noah throughout his days with the Chicago Bulls, but that was a terrible deal at that particular point. Let's not forget what Stephen A. Smith said. Your very initial move, bringing in Lamar Jackson, Lamar Odom. I'm sorry.
Him and that candy.
Yeah, not the Skittles, not the Hershey candy, the other candy, the one in which D even got you on, big fella.
Mm.
But when I look at Phil, he's a tweener because he's had some controversies about rap music, calling hip hop, calling the outfits prisoner garb and thuggery. I don't know that. I mean, I'm not calling him a racist, but that does sound pretty racist when you say something like that.
Yeah, it does. And I don't disagree with you on that situation. The only argument that I have in that is this, like I stated, the only thing that he saw, the only thing that he saw is when players in his day came to work, they was in a suit, they was in a tie. When they set the bench, you either had your team uniform on, your warm-ups on, or a suit and a tie. Remember, Michael Jordan never came, I mean, unless he was at a practice uniform, especially he
Suit
had
and
a
tie.
practice,
He was suit and
he was
tied to the
suited and
knife.
booted. Same thing with Kobe. Suited
Suit,
and booted every time he came.
right.
It, I mean, the only time that he didn't have a player up to that professionalism was Dennis Rodman, which he made the exception because Dennis was Dennis. But like I stated, a lot of it is not black and white. It's a lot of young and old. Remember, I told you the story about my father and how I was raised and how I hated Allen Iverson when I was a child. I didn't like Allen Iverson. I hated him. And when my Lakers beat him, I jumped up and down the walls and went back to school and bragged all day about how my Lakers beat them because that's how I was raised. I was raised to wear suits and ties and stuff like that. I didn't start wearing hats ironically until I turned 26 years old.
But it goes to show you, champ, that look, I get it from your standpoint because of how you grew up and how you raised. But then you realize Allen Iverson with his cultural impact
Yeah,
and what he means to a lot of black people.
yeah,
New York, Chicago, LA, Detroit. Allen Iverson for a lot of people. And again, one of the reasons why, another reason you can call him a babyface is because he's like the average person like me. I'm 5'11, a buck 52, a buck 53. Allen Iverson was about 6 feet soaking wet. But the reason why people revere him still to this day, even though he's gotten some, even though the recent news about him lately hasn't been so good, but he gave a lot of hope and inspiration to a franchise like the Philadelphia 76ers, to Philadelphia, to a lot of young black men. Remember, he was in granted clemency. Remember the bowling alley incident that he
yeah,
was involved in. But the reason I say Phil as a tweener compared to you as a baby face, he's had controversies before saying things like this. And remember, he's the one who keeps telling people just keep politics out of sports, right?
yeah. I
And
mean,
look, I understand Phil. He's more old school. He'll probably stay in his ranch in Montana or whatever. But Phil Jackson, remember, he wanted to do things his own way. And remember, before he drafted Frank Ntilikina back in that 2017 NBA draft, it was reportedly he was falling asleep during workouts.
yeah. I mean, what kills me about guys saying things about politics is this. Like I said, it's a thing of narrative. If somebody was saying something that you agreed with, would you agree with it? And in your book Maverick, you talk about politics. You talk about using LSD. You talk about talking about politics. And the thing is, in your day, there were guys speaking out on politics and sports. Bill Walton was speaking out on on politics, and saying, "I believe that the government is for the people, by the people." I don't think that's what we are back in those days. It was the '70s back when Phil played. So let's stop acting like that politics just appeared on sports and just appeared on sports' door in the last 25 years or the last 4 years and say, "Hey, it's me, it's politics." No, God's been speaking out on that. You really think that do you were in the league during the same time on the tail end of Bill Russell's career? Bill Russell was a known figure for speaking out against politics. He went to Medgar Evers' funeral. He went to a civil rights activist funeral, and it was highly televised about him going to Mississippi and attending that funeral of that civil rights activist. Not to mention, when Muhammad Ali refused to enter the draft, he went to the press conference with Muhammad Ali, Bobby Mitchell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Jim
Jim
Brown.
Brown. He was at that press conference. So what kills me is when a lot of these guys talk about, "I don't like politics in sports." It's been in sports. And if you haven't noticed, every time you put your ballot down in order to vote, guess what? Guess where your taxpayer dollars go towards? Oh yeah, it's to pay for that big ass stadium that you go and pay $25 in order to get into every day. Guess what? You have to vote for that, because if you don't vote in order to keep your team in town and to add taxpayer dollars to that, then guess what happens to your team in that stadium? Ask the Kansas City Chiefs what happened. It went across town to a whole nother state. So when these old school guys, to your point, PSP, say we need to keep politics out of sport, let's not act like that politics just appeared in sports. It appeared every single day in sport. Hell, the 20th century, it was all about politics being in sport. From Jackie Robinson becoming the first guy, the first black African American baseball player in the major leagues, and even Marion Motley, even before him. Remember, he was one of the first black running backs to play in the NFL. He didn't even get drafted because Paul Brown knew the consequences of what was going to happen if he got drafted. He didn't even draft Marion Motley, who's in the Hall of Fame, by the way. So throughout the entire 21st century, there have been stuff, there have been things that have happened where politics were in sports. And the thing is, when we agree with those ideologies, we're quick to raise our hand and we're quick to clap. Yeah. When George Foreman raised the American flag when he won his Olympic gold medal, everybody clapped. But when Tommy Smith raised his fist in order to protest, everybody wanted to cringe all of a sudden, because it wasn't what the narrative that everybody wanted to buy into. Like I stated earlier, and I don't mean to be repetitive, these days, especially, it's all about narrative. What we agree with, what we want to hear. And when we're not told what the blank we want to hear, then all of a sudden it becomes very, very cringeworthy. One person who I will admire before I end it on, you know who I admire right about now? Cam Newton. You know why? And I remember the video that you sent me. And he said, "I would love to sit down with none other than one man and one man only. I would love to sit down with Jason Whitlock just so we can get an understanding of who Cam Newton really is and to get your perspective about things. Why do you think I'm this way?" Those are the dialects that we need to have. People who disagree with you, so you can get a clear understanding on why.
But that's something that we do, champ. And sorry to air this out, our guy Flash,
Yeah,
he supports He voted for the current president. I don't agree, but at the same time, it's his choice.
Yeah,
Regardless, I'm still going to acknowledge him.
yeah.
Same
Classic
thing with The
person.
Undertaker. I don't agree with him endorsing President Trump because of how I feel about President Trump. That being said, we acknowledge somebody because of their character and how they treat people. Same thing with Kane. Whether I agree or disagree with someone's politics, just give me the floor to speak about my politics and I'll let you do the same. If we want to be treated equal and if we want to have friendships and if we want to build on something, we got to hear each other out. That's our thing. The problem is, champ, why I have Phil as a tweener, he didn't want to hear about politics. He said, hey, keep politics out of sports. Meanwhile, you're doing the same. And again, champ, when he talked about hip hop, the music, the style, the prison term, the thuggery aspect, you got to understand, Phil, where these young black men came from. Just like we want to understand where you came from, fine, that's fair enough. Understand where you came from, where they came from. I would say tweener because he was enough of a head coach to tolerate because of how great he was as far as X's and O's, managing egos and personalities. But other than that, he's had some controversies.
Hmm.
And especially with the New York Knicks and how he did the job there. Now, Dolan, only reason why, because Dolan offered him more money. And there were people that were getting after Dolan, given how lousy, how awful he was as an owner.
Hmm.
And he tried to sell New York by bringing in Phil Jackson. And then you bring in Derek Fisher to coach this team. And the only reason why you brought him there because he understood the triangle offense, given the fact that he played in with the Lakers while you were the head coach. Now, is Phil Jackson a racist? No, I'm not going to do that to him. But he's had some things he said in the past that kind of raise an eye. I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely.
BRF.
I have. I also have Phil Jackson. Kind of. I have him as a tweener as well. Um, I definitely. When we talk about greatest head coaches of all time, as far as like any sport, and you want to go to the NBA, I look at Greg Popovich. I think he's the greatest coach in NBA history. I think I think he's the greatest as far as like the time frame, as far as when he won it, how he won it, and how he went about it with the Spurs. I think he's the greatest X and O's coach ever. With Phil Jackson, he was a really good X's and O's coach, but I think what Phil was the greatest at when you look at the six with the Bulls, and then the five he won, the three with Shaq and Kobe, and then the two with just Kobe by himself. He was the best as far as being able to manage egos and manage superstars and manage those type of those outstanding kind of personalities, like having a guy like Mike in Chicago for those six championships, and then to a lesser extent Scottie Pippen, and then like that second three-peat bringing in a Dennis Rodman, because it was like because Mike's the reason Dennis Rodman there, because Michael Jordan wanted Dennis Rodman there. So it was like Phil understood, I think, better than any coach ever, how to manage egos. And my niece is like loud as crap right now, bro.
It's all
But
good.
but Phil to me is the greatest coach ever in terms of being able to manage egos and manage personalities. He was the best as far as handling superstars. That's why, with that with the first three peat with Shaq and Kobe, who did they go to ultimately at the end of the day, who felt like was going to be the coach to get him over the hump? It was Phil Jackson. And then Phil Jackson gets there and the three peat happens. And then, with Kobe winning four, his fourth and his fifth, he only even it was kind of like a maturing thing on both ends, like after, the book and Phil talking about Kobe and all that stuff that was going on that 2000, his last year, that 2004 year. it was kind of like maturing on both ends. Like, Kobe understanding who he, what kind of coach he needed to really get back to where he wanted to be, and then Phil seeing Kobe and how he's grown and and wanting to coach him again. Um, and I think like a lot of the controversies and the stuff that's come out about Phil and things that he's said and a lot of the actions he's taken, and yeah, particularly the Nick run, especially as a head coach and as an exec, like he like when he got there, I didn't think he was going to do as well. Just off of the standpoint, Phil Jackson I feel like did his best when he had that alpha, that main kind of alpha lion type personality, who you just felt like, okay, if as long as I have this guy, if I surround him with the right pieces and the right personnel, we can get a championship. There was nobody like that with the Knicks, and I was kind of skeptical about it from the jump. There's really nobody like that with the Knicks. I mean, you had guys, yeah, they were probably gonna win some games, but I felt like there was nobody there that was gonna get them over the hump to a championship. Even with a guy like Carmelo Anthony, I didn't feel like he was that type, especially with the Knicks and the rosters that they built there. I just think a lot of things kind of weigh into, yeah, like for me, Phil Jackson is a tweener as well. I don't know. I just felt like it's kind of like one of those things, like it's in the middle, where you recognize his greatness and how good he was as a coach, but you understand some things that have come out in the media about him, some things that he said, that he's publicized. It wasn't the greatest look. So that's why I personally I got to go with PSP on this one. I got Phil Jackson as a tweener as well.
Two things can be true. Phil Jackson was a great head coach. No one's denying or disputing that. But at the same time, the controversies. So Phil is polarizing. That's why I lean towards tweener. Babyface to me is someone you got. That's Popovich in a nutshell. Popovich is an absolute babyface, not just because of his greatness as a head coach. Like you said, champ, he's a military man. Comes from a military background. He's adamant. He's unafraid to say whatever's on his mind, whether if it's about politics, the current president, or anything else. He is bold. He's a no nonsense type of guy and doesn't take any crap whatsoever. Phil did a great job as far as managing egos, even though it was Tex Winter who created the triangle offense. He, however, perfected it. He got the most out of it. He convinced Michael to get his teammates involved. Ultimately, they went on to win championships. And he did a great job with Dennis Rodman. The real reason why Dennis Rodman decided went to Chicago was in large part because of Phil. Scotty, according to Michael Jordan, was like, hell no. He didn't want any parts of him. Michael was like, okay, Phil, who's going to keep him in control when he's out of control? Phil was the type of person who can handle him. But speaking of Dennis Rodman, our favorite moments of Dennis Rodman. Of course, there's the wedding dress. I mean, even though that may have been the ridiculous thing that he did, it got him a lot of attention, which led him to getting that #1 bestseller book, Bad as I Want to Be. Let's not forget during the 97-98 season, going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Of course, he had the beautiful Carmen Electra on his side.
Yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Dennis was the ultimate player. But
Yeah.
I think Dennis, I love Dennis, his personality. I had the opportunity to see Dennis Rodman at the Livingston Mall back in Jersey in 2018. My little brother tapped me and he said, dude, that's Dennis Rodman right across from us. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. And he said, no, look very carefully. And I'm like, he's about 6'7", 230-ish. He's wearing 91 on the back of his jersey with Rodman. He's got several piercings and tattoos. And I'm like, oh shit, that's Dennis Rodman. And he was with his group of people and just watching Dennis Rodman in person. But the bad boy days. Rest his soul, Chuck Daly, the great head coach. John Sally is often talk about how Chuck Daly was like a father figure to Dennis, having him over to the house for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Even though you think Dennis Rodman, you think more of his basketball. And by the way, Dennis Rodman, whoever thought he would bring the president of the United States and Kim Jong Un together for peace?
Yes.
Whoever thought, of all people, Dennis Rodman could actually do that? But he pulled that off. He pulled that off. Whether bold or radical, but hey, Dennis Rodman, he's all about peace. If I ever were to do a podcast outside of Undisputed World Champion BRF Sports, Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson.
Oh God.
That's that's seven for me. Or kind of like Jim Ross and Jim Cornette. I get good
That's a
old JR versus Jim Ross's colorfulness.
boy. That's some hella lineups right there.
Those were hell of a lineups.
But Dennis Rodman is all about peace, man. I love his personality. Dennis is like what a lot of people are nowadays. Wild, rebellious, and he was cool. Let's not forget NWO.
Yeah.
Let's not forget with Big Daddy Cool, Kevin Nash, rest his soul, Hulk Hogan. And of course, man, he had the baddies. He
Yeah.
had the woman back then. If Dennis Rodman, if social media were implemented back in the 90s, how much money do you think he would be worth?
But he'd be
Mm.
up there, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
he be up there.
yeah. I never forget. When he first got to San Antonio, he had the mohawk, and they had the
Yeah,
little prep rally. He said, "Love me or hate me, when I come on this damn floor,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
get
go on
some.
fire." And then he took off the hat, and everybody went wild when they seen his hair. I never forget. Him and David Robinson had the opposite commercial.
Yes, because
Uh,
David Robinson, Navy, he's
yeah,
Christian.
yes, they had the opposite commercial when they was, back then. I do emphasize back then. Back in 1994, stuffed crust pizza had just came out. Yes, I'm that old. So
Mm-hmm.
they had the little Pizza Hut commercial with him and David Robinson, man, saying, you got to be a little bit more edgy. You got to be a little more of this. You got a little bit, and it was kind of like an opposite little thing going on because we all know that David Robinson, Navy, conservative Christian, things of that nature. With Dennis Rodman, he was out there. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great moment, man, with him and David Robinson. I hate they couldn't make the thing work out there, but they did have the best record for 2 years in a row out there in San Antonio, man. That was one of the best defensive front courts you ever want to see with him and David Robinson at the helm. I know. Look, I'm gonna just give a Dennis. I never forget. I don't think people acknowledge about the attention that Dennis Rodman brought to different communities, mainly the LGBTQ community.
Yes,
Because
he did.
remember when
He was a cross.
he was on the RuPaul show several times. So he was on his show several times. And yeah, that was a big thing back in the day. And remember, back then it wasn't as accepted. Remember, back before everything was 24 hours, you actually had to have certain shows where it was past family hour. Everybody knew that family hour was between 6 and 9. Then after 9, that's when the adult shows came on. Not that adult show, but you get what I'm saying. That's when all the grown folk shows came on.
And there was
You
a pandemic back then in the 1990s, champ,
know,
regarding the STDs and stuff like that.
yeah, and he
He
brought a lot of attention to it by putting the symbols in his hair, being on the RuPaul show, and did things that a lot of people were uncomfortable with back then. Me personally, I love Dennis Rodman, man. I had his shoes, much to my mother's chagrin. My mom used to damn cringe seeing me wear Dennis Rodman's Nike. She hated two people that my mom hated. She hated Nick Van Exel and she hated that damn Dennis Rodman. And ironically,
I thought your mama hated Vince McMahon.
and she hated Vince McMahon too. And ironically, I still have Nick Van Exel shoes on, and she still tells me not to wear these shoes in her house So I said, these are the Nick Van Exel Reeboks that came out back in the 90s. So she tells me not to wear these damn shoes in her house. So she hated Dennis Rodman, she hated
Wow.
Vince McMahon, and she hated Nick Van Exel. So that was a hoot. But man, I love Dennis Rodman, man. You to be that weird but cool. I mean, it was kind of like hanging out with some of the goth kids, and you realize how cool they were, listening to Nirvana, listening to Pearl Jam. You realize how cool these guys were, although they were considered outcast by conventional society.
Right.
And Dennis Rodman loved Pearl Jam, as I do. I loved Even Flow. I mean, Nirvana, stepping in the way, listening to things like that. People thought it was depression music back then, but now it's a little bit more acceptable now that you're listening to those things. So Dennis Rodman, man, being in the NWO, beating up DDP. I never forget they had that little moment where he did a promo with DDP in the ring where he spit on DDP and DDP spat on him back, and they said, "Okay, now let's go." And it was just like that's how they got heat with each other. It was just like, man, it was so much heat in the ring and so much chemistry in the ring. Him being at Bash at the Beach, him and Karl Malone versus Hulk Hogan. I mean, that was the epitome of what it meant. And look, The Last Dance gave a lot of insight in there too, man. You know, you know, when your friends has to come get you out of bed in order to make you come to practice or come to work, that's an event. We all had one of those nights when your homeboy had to come bang down your door in order to come get you, and somebody was hiding. So, all right,
Oh,
what's up, DRS?
um, I was just checking my phone and this sad news. I hope we lost Michael Watts.
Yeah.
What? Michael
Apparently,
Watts?
he had been chop screw Michael Watts.
Oh, damn. Rest in peace to
Apparently, he's been
Michael
having
Watts.
apparently he's been having some health issues over the last week or so, and got this IG post right here about 2 hours ago. I'm just seeing it. Yeah, apparently we lost DJ Michael Watts today.
Damn.
He was on the
Shout out to Michael
49.
Watts, aka a lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this until recently, aka DJ Troublemaker. I didn't find out that he was DJ Troublemaker until recently. Shout out to Michael Watts. Thank you for everything you did for Southern
Boy,
rap and Southern hip hop, man. I will
boy,
never forget you
man, let me
talking.
tell you something. Like when I was high school, like early college, before I really got went to college, I went through a big chopped and screwed phase where I listened to a lot of that music from Houston and it wasn't just like music out of Houston either because when Swisher House became like really, really, really big, like this was after like Mike Jones had dropped Still Tipping and Slim Thug had dropped Like a Boss and like just when Houston was really coming back on the map in the early 2000s. And then Mike, I think Mike Jones released his album, then he released his Screwed and Chopped version. And then next thing you know, Swisher House gets really, really big, and then they start touching like a lot of the Atlanta albums. Like you had the Trillville Little Scrappy album. Ti did Urban. I mean, I think Paul Wall was the one that actually chopped and screwed Ti's Urban Legend. So like he he had a major influence on Southern hip hop as far as just like the slow down the different type of tone, different type of tempo, but you could still ride in the car, you can still bang it through the speakers. I mean, he Michael Watts was a different breed. When I finally got into him and I started studying him and listening to his music, even like in the 90s and in the 2000s, like he to say he's an influence on Southern hip hop is a major understatement, and just prayers and condolences to his family, his friends, all his confidants who he worked with, whether it was, you know, whether it's Swisher House, Screwed Up Click, just anybody associated with Houston hip hop. Just man, rap a lot records, just anybody associated with Houston, just just prayers and condolences to everybody because we I don't think it's crazy to say he's Michael Watts was an icon. He was a DJ icon. So
Yeah.
prayers and condolences to everybody out in Houston in that area who rep that style of music and who repped all that era. So yeah, just I hated to bring it on, but I just happened to see it. It kind of caught my eye, and I will say this though, we will do breaking news from time to time because I mean this is what we try to do for y'all. So, but sad news, but yeah, prayers and condolences out to his family.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Uh,
But as far as the as far as my favorite Dennis Rodman moments, I have quite a few. I will say this though: any man who can date prime Madonna and prime Carmen Electra, I give you all the props in the world, sir. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing in your prime. Shout out to you to be able to pull them two in their prime. Shout out to you, sir. Shout out to you. Um, but that honestly, both NBA finals having to guard Karl Malone and the one particular instance where they're in Utah and they're fighting for the ball and they keep getting up and they keep falling down and they get up and they fall down again. It was just kind of like one of those moments where you just kind of you knew the type of matchup that they were gonna have because you know the type of defender Dennis Rodman was still at the time, and you knew that was like peak. That was NBA MVP Pete Karl Malone at the time. That's probably like the peak of his powers, like the best he ever probably was to me as a player. Were those two finals appearances, but that was me. That's probably one of the better individual one-on-one matchups I've seen in any playoff series in a while, and we got that two straight NBA finals. So that's definitely one of my favorite Rodman moments. Just all of I don't want to put like all the outbursts and stuff like that on blast, but just like if he gets the technicals, he gets thrown out the game. I mean, he just gosh, I hate to bring it up. The one moment where he fell out of bounds and the cameraman kind of got in his
he kicked the
way and he
Minnesota.
kind of kicked and he kind of kicked the cameraman in the place he had no business kicking the cameraman. There's like just a lot of and the crazy thing about Dennis Rodman, he probably doesn't regret anything he's ever done. If you really kind of study him and know what he is as a man, he probably doesn't regret anything he's ever done. Um, but yeah, but definitely the Pistons, the bad boy era, like when he was like a when he was more of an off he was when then he was actually more of an offensive player then, but yet he still kept the same fire he did on the defensive side of the ball, winning helping Detroit win those championships. Um, yeah, you can't talk about Dennis Rodman without that the wedding dress. You can't talk about Dennis Rodman without that. That's probably the one of the biggest moments of his career that really kind of if you didn't know who Dennis Rodman was and you didn't understand who Dennis Rodman was, that one instance pretty much let you know who he was and how he rocked, and it was like you hate it or love it. He ain't changing for you. He ain't gonna do it different. You either hate it or love it. Um, but yeah, definitely one of the greatest defensive players we have ever seen, and just being like an undersized. Even nowadays, he's still being undersized power. He'd be an undersized power forward, but it's like guys like Draymond Green does not exist without Dennis Rodman. I mean,
Absolutely.
the not necessarily the biggest guy playing the power forward, but giving you that same dog mentality playing defense and like just affecting the game in ways outside of just having the ball in his hands. Like guys like Draymond Green don't exist without players like Dennis Rodman. So he's definitely had an influence on the game in terms of just the defensive stalwarts as you'd want to say, the guys that really get out there and get after it every night from a defensive perspective. So he definitely influenced the game from that accord as well. So definitely that's just some of the things that kind of stick out when I do think about Denver. Oh yeah, that's right, bro. Yeah, one of the coolest things I've ever seen was that I think, bro, the WCW NWO, like just one of the coolest things that bash at the beach match with with him and Hogan versus DDP and Karl Malone. I mean, let me tell you something. If you came into that match thinking you about to get like a 4 or 5 star classic, you wasn't. You was gonna get a bunch of shenanigans. You gonna get some athleticism off of, just with Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman being in the match. Boy, you ain't you ain't about to get no greatest tag team match of all time, but it was fun. It's one of the more fun matches I've seen. And just the coolness that he radiated, like when he made his entrance with Hulk Hogan, like on any Nitro for that matter. When I mean, just man, Dennis Rodman, regardless of what you think of him as far as how he dressed, how he carried himself, Dennis Rodman one of the coolest motherfuckers we've ever seen walk through
Yeah.
God green earth. Well, I'll just go ahead and say it. So, but yeah, definitely shout out to him. Glad to see that he's still kind of getting his flowers and but still living life and enjoying life. So you can't
Yeah.
knock him. So shout out to Dennis Rodman.
And shout out to his daughter, Trinity, becoming the highest paid woman's soccer player in the history of the sport. $1 million a year. I
She's
know
a
that may
hell of a
not
soccer
seem
player.
I know
Hell of
that
a
may
soccer
not
player.
seem like much, but considering the fight for women's salaries in the W and things of that nature, how they're fighting in order to get that now, that's a big milestone. So shout out to Trinity Rodman and her father Dennis Rodman for, you know, getting that done. That's a milestone.
Absolutely. And also, sad news as well. Katherine O'Hara, best known from the Home Alone mom, she passed away, age of 71.
Damn.
It is sad, man. But best known for Schitt's Creek and Home Alone, passed away at the age of 71. Her manager confirmed the news to People magazine, and her family announced plans to hold a private celebration of her life at a later date. The co-stars, including Dan Levy and Macaulay Culkin, paid heartfelt tributes to the actress on social media. Man, damn shame, man. But
Yeah. Kate McAllister will go down as her most iconic role because Home Alone 1 and 2 are movies we all grew up with as
yeah,
far as like Christmas time. Those are like two of the most fun movies I've ever seen in my life, and I will still watch them. Those movies are that good. She recently did Beetlejuice, the sequel to original Beetlejuice. She was just in that recently. But she was a really, really good actress. I mean, outside of the Home Alone movies, she was a really good actress. Like you said, you brought up Schitt's Creek with Eugene Levy. I finally seen some of. I watched it a little bit, and I finally seen some more of those episodes. That was an underrated show. That was a good show.
Mhm.
She. I feel like she's one of the more underrated actresses of our generation, and just prayers and condolences to her family as well. But yeah, just Kate McAllister is just one of those roles that's just like immortalized.
all right, fellas. One last one. Favorite Gucci Mane track: Lemonade.
Mhm.
Both featuring Drake. I get the bag with Migos. Icy. Man, Gucci Mane. You want to talk about undisputed world champ? If undisputed world champ wants to have a transformation, look no further than
You
Gucci
say
Mane.
I mean, he ain't wrong. Shit. He ain't
he
wrong.
ain't. I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it now. I can't unsee it now.
But hey, he got that beautiful woman as well too, and also with them tracks. But Lemonade, especially with that beat, I go out of Lemonade, man. Whoever wants to go.
Oh man.
I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. I'll kick it. Unless you want to go, champ, I can kick it off.
Oh man. Look. Hey man, Gucci. Uh man. People don't realize, man. Look, I'm a Gucci fan, man. Shout out to my main man, Big Calvin, man, because every time we get in the car, we play that one song. I shook them haters off. I shook them haters off. We played that for my graduation when I graduated with my first degree. I shook them haters off. I shook them haters off. Man, I shook them haters off. That was a people don't realize that was a diss song. That was the funniest part about it. That's the whole diss song. So I mean that was a good one. Abnormal. That one was good. Uh, Get the bag. Big Booty featuring Meg The Stallion. Why you put your
Mm,
hand
yeah,
like
that's a good one.
that?
That's a good one.
That
That's
is
a
a
good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I get the bag. I get the bag. Shawty got it. So her, I'll never forget that, man. I could not tell you how many dances I got on that damn song, man.
Go ahead.
You go ahead, go, man. That was, man. Look, I will say for forever, man. Man, the club was the greatest when the dance floor was out, man. You seen the girls with the short song when that song came on? That was a banger. That was a banger. Icy, of course. Lemonade. Uh, remember all of his mixtape, man. I think his mixtape game is very, very slept on, man. People talk about 50, people talk about Future, people talk about all those guys, man. But if you go back and look at pre-healthy Gucci Mane and his mixtapes, that was some of the guttest trap
Pretty
music
healthy
you would want
Gucci
to get.
Mane.
Yeah, pre-healthy Gucci Mane, that it was crazy. The trap house. Chopper on the floor, pistol on the cow. Made 100,000 in my trap house. Man, that was crazy, man. Uh, man. I know people gonna get on to me about this, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. But I know Truth was good. Truth was good. I know it was a lot of stuff said about Jeezy and his count, but Truth was good. Round one, the game hard, the rap game easy. This is round one of the Gucci Man versus Jeezy. Uh, damn. I remember all that, man. I remember when he was on the touchdown mixtape. I remember one of my guys, I think DJ Swift. I knew a lot of the DJs around Columbus when he gave me the touchdown mixtape. When he gave me that, that was crazy. That was a touchdown mixtape, man. I'll never forget that. Uh, That's not one that I'm gonna bricks, all white bricks, all white bricks, all white bricks. I think one of his most infamous songs was the one on YouTube. That one was very infamous, and I would never bring that song up ever again. So I think that YouTube song that was crazy. Um, oh, BRL. Man, my name is Susie, and Gucci think I love her. But the other thinks it's loyal, but I mess with
Yes.
other brothers. I be
Yes.
with all of them. No,
Yes.
look, shout out to my guy C. Reed, man. Cause C. Reed, no.
Yes.
C.
Yes.
Reed, Josh, and Calvin. I'll never forget when we used to say this. We used to say this. The girls would say that, man, scared my name is, and we would say, I think I love her. And then when the girl would say, dude, you don't love me, we used to yell out in the club, you right? You right. So that's what this girl would say, you don't love me, you right. And we was characters we was characters back in the day. We was characters
Boy.
back in the day when we was in the heyday. I never forget when that song $1 Million came out and we came into the club and we had made these I never forget we came into the club. We had this thing called when girls would say, I got that $1 million. We would start saying she got that family dollar. I thought that shit was hilarious. But man, Gucci man, that mixtape catalog is very, very slept on, man. If y'all have a chance to go and see that and go and witness that, that was a mixtape era like no other, man. And look, don't sleep on the South, man. I know we all got to give everybody, their flowers, but look, don't sleep on the South, man. And like I told PSP earlier, I was surprised he even listened to Gucci, man. I ain't really think,
Nah,
he always.
nah. What makes you you
No, the
keep
thing
forgetting?
is, we always think that everybody listens to the mainstream guys, but Gucci, he's
No,
not
I used to
mainstream
listen.
like that.
I used to listen to a lot of Gucci back then. A lot of Gucci, Ti. I always loved the South rappers.
Yeah,
Always loved the South rappers, man. Besides, what better way to get crunk than listen to the South?
yes, indeed, man. But that, yeah, but I like I said, man, you surprise me more every day, man, because I you can get real ratchet listening to Gucci, bro. I mean, knowing
Boy.
I mean, I never forget one of the DJs. Shout out to DJ Fat Boy. I never forget. He turned the words off, and we used to rap the whole song of "I Think I Love Her." He used to rap the whole song. Shout out to DJ Fat Boy, my guy Carl, man. So man, that was an epic time, man. An epic time. That was a moment in time forever, man. Thank you, Gucci, man.
Absolutely. BRF.
Okay. Boy, yeah, you want to, boy, Gucci, boy, you want to talk about an underrated catalog, boy. Gucci man got an underrated catalog. I mean, y'all ain't even, neither one of y'all even brought up "Wasted." "Wasted" is his biggest song.
Oh man, I forgot.
Party, party, party. Let's all get wasted. Shake it for me, baby. What? Him and Plies, boy. That's like his biggest song. Like you got, let's see, "Wasted." To "Beat It Up" with Trey Songz. Um, what else is there? Yeah, "Icy," "Trap House," "Go Ahead," "Freaky Girl." Oh man, that's the one. She's a boy. Come on, she's a very freaky girl. Oh my gosh! And then the remix with Luda, bro. Cause I say like that '05 to '08 kind of time frame or whatever. That was like remix. Like every song got a remix. It didn't matter what song it was. Every song got a remix. And man, just that was one of the better ones at that time. What else? Good Lord. Yeah, yeah, definitely. "I Think I Love Her." They still played it on the radio like it ain't nothing. That song was good. Um, yeah, let's see. Both. "I Get the Bag." Hmm. What else? What else? What else? What else? Yeah. Well. Yeah. Lemonade is probably one of my favorite beats all the time. Um. Gosh,
I'm a
man, and,
dog.
and
I'm a
it's fun. It's
dog. I'm
funny
a
though.
dog. I'm a dog. I'm
Yeah,
a
I'm a
dog. I'm
dog.
a dog.
Yeah. That's another one. That's another one. That's another one. Um, and it's crazy. It's crazy though, because it's like you brought up like all the that's probably one of the best or like one of the more infamous beefs in Southern hip hop, if not all of hip hop history, is Gucci and Jeezy. Because I tell you, Gucci, I love you, brother, but you took the L on that one because Jeezy dropped "Stay Strapped." If y'all have not heard "Stay Strapped," that is a recommended listen. That is a recommended listen because he used Ti's ASAP beat, and that is a recommended song. That's probably one of the better, more underrated diss songs you'll ever hear. What Jeezy did to Gucci, but I'm trying to think what else because Gucci got a catalog, man. I know what stuff I haven't named. He's got like so many good.
Black Beetle.
Gosh, what's
His verse on Black Beetle.
well his feature? Yeah, that was a yeah that I mean the fact that he used one rhyme scheme that entire 16 he used one rhyme scheme and made it work. So definitely that. Um,
Ugly.
gosh,
Money
and I
make
know.
you handsome, even if you're ugly.
Yeah. Yes. The song he did with Bruno and Kodak.
Yeah.
Yeah, the song he did with Bruno and Kodak. I can't remember the name of that song, but that was a really really good song. Um, gosh, I have to look. Hold on, let me look. I gotta look that song up real quick
Remember that
because
verse he
I know
did with
they.
Rick Ross, MC Hammer on MC Hammer, right?
Wake Up in the Sky. If that's the
Yeah,
song.
which one is it?
Wake Up in the Sky. Wake Up in the
Wake up
Sky.
in the sky. Wake up in the sky. That's it. Yes, yes, yes. That's the song. Yeah. But yeah. That yeah. His MC Hammer feature with Rick Ross. Man. Yeah. Gucci definitely had he was a he's a pretty underrated guy as far as like features and stuff too. So yeah, man. Shout out. Yeah. Shout out to Gucci, man. Let me tell you something with him and gosh, boy. Atlanta hip hop was like the king at one point, regardless of what people say. You had him, you had Ti, you had Jeezy, you had Luda, you had P. Troy, You had Outkast, you had Field Mob, you had gosh, you had Jody Breeze. I mean, just so many guys that was like Atlanta. Just man, like it was, and I know I ain't done because there's like young LA. Just so many guys in that's in the same time frame. Whether they put out like really good albums or put out a bunch of like hits and got a catalog, just like carried like the whole like southern, I'd say just about a decade, pretty much like carried Southern hip hop before like you had Houston coming in. Houston came in, started eating. Miami came in, started eating. But that, like I say, that the 2000s, like early 2010s, was like Atlanta. So and Gucci Mane was like a huge part of that. So shout out to Gucci, and and I'm glad to see that he kind of got his life together, got right, got healthy. And shout out to his lady, because his lady is the definition of a ride or die. Because the fact that a dude can go to jail and leave you with a fortune and you flip it and turn it into more money when he get out of jail, that's a real one. Shout out to Keisha. She a real one.
Definitely. But fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast, man. Any final words, fellas, and tell them where to follow y'all at.
You start out, champ.
Man, it feels good to be back as usual on the Sports PSP podcast, man. Uh, I have no words, man. It's like it's like adrenaline, man. This is the arena that we come in every single Friday. Except it's authentic. It's like you can't fake this. It's like a adrenaline rush. And every time I come on here, it's just like that camera come on. I know we about to have fun, man. It's a fun time. It's a very fun time. And I'm just grateful to be here, man. Shout out to Sports PSP. 5,500,000 views on YouTube. Yes, we're going to give you those flowers today because you deserve them. Hell of a job, man. Almost 150,000 followers, along with over 5 million dudes. 5 million. So, hey, anybody out there, man, you know this young man can draw a crowd. Go ahead, get him a contract, man, so he can draw some more crowds. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, hey, man, I'm just grateful to be a part of it, man. It's kind of like being on the bus, man. And you at the back of the bus and you back there chilling, man, and you going on the freestyle. And then when the show over, now it's time to walk into school until it's after school again. So I can't wait till it's after school again the next Friday, and then we can come out here and do it again, man. Shout out to PSP, shout out to BRF, man. Don't forget y'all watch the Royal Rumble tomorrow, man. I know football season is no longer here, man, but we still gonna continue to bring the flair, as BRF Sports says, man. And hey, if you ain't subscribe to the Sports PSP podcast, subscribe and watch not just today's episode, but a few videos. Matter of fact, go back to the beginning. You know, go back to the beginning before the audience was before the panel was set. Even back then was those big shows, a lot of good outtakes back then. So yeah, I didn't feel good to say that I was here. I was one of the day ones, and I feel great knowing that I'm still here. And it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure being here, man. Like I said, it's like a rush of adrenaline every Friday. When I turn that camera on, it's like I know how wrestlers feel now.
Mm-hmm.
I know how wrestlers feel now, man. It's time to turn it up. But thank you, PSP. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to BRF, man, for always being around, bro. Uh, dealing with the reels all day long. Dealing with the reels all day long. But that last one was nice though. But man, shout out to D, Mama PSP, everybody. Y'all be safe because it looked like it's about to snow again this week. Again, another bad snowstorm. Thankfully, I live in Columbus, Georgia. We're not gonna even get a piece of it. It might rain, but it ain't gonna snow. So,
I don't think it's snowing in South Orange where I live.
oh, it's not.
Well,
No.
I think, well, I think where I'm at, we might be getting some. like late tonight, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They might be coming in, so I might be already sleeping by the end. So maybe I might wake up to a a white, a late white Christmas. We'll kind of see how that work out. But 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 yeah, but yeah, man, it's always a pleasure to get on here and do what we do and always have fun week in and week out doing this. It's just I don't know, man. It's something. It's something. Champ, you really hit the nail on the you kind of hit the nail on the head, man. It's like when you get on the like a spotlight, when you get in the camera or something like this, it kind of like it's like whatever, like you could be tired, you could be low on energy, but just for some reason like you get in front of it and just like whatever energy you it's like what you got stored up, it kind of like brings it out of you, and then you're good, and then you rolling and you having fun, and it's like you can't be it's like you feel untouchable, it's like you can't be stopped. And it's like a really really enjoyable feeling to have in front of a camera and just having fun, but and doing it with people you want to do it with. And just just you being the one introducing me to PSP, and then just being on, just having the pleasure of, just being kind of like a, being locked in with this, week in and week out. I'm always having a blast doing this. I enjoy it so much. I enjoy being a podcaster. Y'all, BRS Sports is the handle. I'm over 2,300 followers myself. I'm trying to get somewhere. Uh, like I said, I finished with my American League videos. I apologize, I ain't hit y'all with the National League yet, but I'm gonna try to hit y'all this week with the National League divisional previews. There may be some surprises as far as my divisional picks. Don't know yet, but I'm gonna start my research probably in the morning, or probably tonight when I get off here in the morning. Follow my link tree, join my Discord. I haven't really had anybody join my Discord in a while. Like if y'all ain't in the Discord, join the Discord, man. It's fun. But I mean, it's it's just fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and honestly, that's all I that's what I really wanted when I got into this, and just finding the right people to do this with just makes it that much better. So it's just a pleasure sharing the stage with y'all, man. And I'm just lucky to do it. And it's like I always say, because I got to leave with it, because a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. So it's always a pleasure to get on here, and I'm looking forward to more. And hopefully we continue to keep these getting these following counts up, because that is the goal. We do this for fun, but at the same time, we know what the end game is. We want to we want to be successful, but we do it because we enjoy it. So shout out to everybody who follow us.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Please stay safe. Please stay responsible. Again, hearts and prayers go to the people in Minnesota. Please, let's just start off. Let's just finish off this month right, because next month, Black History Month. So let's enjoy it. Let's recognize, remember all our great Black people. Let's just try to enjoy the rest of the 2026 year. Next week, Sports PSP Pod, we're going to do our Super Bowl picks. And for favorite music choice, Waka Flocka Flame. So stay tuned for the Sports PSP podcast next Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on that note, we is out. Peace.